monsters on your mind, never getting stuck. Riding waves of stars through the cosmic sea, finding who we are in the galaxy. She's got questions to ask and a fire that won't die, unraveling each task under the sky.
Hello. How is everyone? Hello, Cynthia. We'll see you when you're done with your phone call. And hello, Rose. Feed the dog and maybe ride the dog back if he's going to do it. That's awesome. Well, hello, kids. We are back, and StreamYard is playing silly games. Yeah, I got to watch my language. StreamYard's playing silly games, and it didn't want to let me actually click the button that says go live. So I was playing the mouse, the click, 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 click game, trying to click the go live before the bubble disappeared. It was a lot of fun. Just what I want to deal with at this moment. Anyways, we are back. We are here for chapter 2. This is going to be, I think, this is going to be a really interesting read. There's a lot of really good information in here, especially for this time, the time that we are living in. He's got a lot of knowledge that if you want to make use of, it could make your life a lot easier when maneuvering through the craziness. But with that, I'm going to start because I don't have a co-host to shitty chat with. So chapter 2 is called Secret Societies and the New World Order. It says there is a power so organized, so subtle, so complete, and so pervasive that they had better not speak above their breath when they speak in condemnation of it. And that's from President Woodrow Wilson. So I think all of your presidents, or most all of them, have made statements in one time or another about these secret societies. At least the really good ones have. Oh, look at that. Okay, good. Anyways, chapter 2. History is replete with whispers of secret societies, accounts of elders or priests who guarded the forbidden knowledge of ancient peoples. Prominent men meeting in secret who directed the course of civilization are recorded in the writings of all people. The oldest is the Brotherhood of the Snake, also called the Brotherhood of the Dragon, and it still exists under many different names. The Brotherhood of the Snake is devoted to guarding the secrets of the ages and to the recognition of Lucifer as the one and only true God. If you do not believe in God, Lucifer, or Satan, you must understand that there are great masses of people who do. I do not believe in racism, but millions do, and their beliefs and actions based upon those beliefs will affect me. It is clear that religion has always played a significant role in the course of these organizations. Communication with a higher source, often divine, is a familiar claim in all but a few. The secrets of these groups are thought to be so profound that only a chosen, well-educated few are able to understand and use them. These men use their special knowledge for the benefit of all mankind. At least, that is what they claim. How are we to know, since their knowledge and actions have been secret? Fortunately, some of it has become public knowledge. I found it intriguing that most, if not all, primitive tribal societies, all of the adults are members. They are usually separated into male and female groups. The male usually dominates the culture. Surprisingly, this exactly resembles many civilized secret societies. This can only mean that the society is working not against established authority, but for it. In fact, it could be said to actually be the established authority. This would tend to remove the validity of any argument that all secret associations are dedicated to the destruction of properly constituted authority. This can only apply, of course, where the secret society makes up the majority or entirety of any people which it affects. Only a very few fall into this category. Secret societies, in fact, mirror many facets of ordinary life. There is always an exclusivity of membership, with the resultant importance attached to being or becoming a member. This is found in all human endeavors, even those which are not secret, such as football teams or country clubs. This exclusivity of membership is actually one of the secret society's most powerful weapons. There is the use of signs, passwords, and other tools. These have always performed valuable functions in man's organizations everywhere. The stated reason, almost always different from the real reason for the society's existence, is important. It can be anything, but is usually fraternal and is found in all pressure groups wherever people congregate. The comradeship is especially important. Sharing hardships or secrets has always been a special thrill to man. No one who has ever undergone the rigors of boot camp is ever likely to forget the special feeling of belonging and comradeship that was shared between the victims of the drill sergeant or company commander. It is an emotion born of initiation. The most potent tool of any secret society is the ritual and myth surrounding initiation. These special binding ceremonies have very deep meaning for all the participants. Initiation performs several functions, which make up the heart and soul of any true secret society. Like boot camp, the initiation into the armed forces, important aspects of human thought that are universally compelling are merged to train and maintain the efforts of a group of people to operate in a certain direction. Initiation bonds the members together in mysticism. Neophytes gain knowledge of a secret, giving them special status. The ancient meaning of neophyte is planted anew or reborn. A higher initiation is in reality a promotion inspiring loyalty and the desire to move up to the next rung. The goals of the society are reinforced, causing the initiated to act toward those goals in everyday life. That brings about a change in the political and social action of the member. The change is always in the best interest of the goals of the leaders of the secret society. The leaders are called adepts. This can best be illustrated by the soldier trained to follow orders without thinking. The result is often wounding or death of the soldier for the realization of the commander's goal, which may or may not be good for the overall community. Initiation is a means of rewarding ambitious men who can be trusted. You will notice that the higher the degree of initiation, the fewer the members who possess the degree. This is not because the other members are not ambitious, but because a process of very careful selection is being conducted. A point is reached where no effort is good enough without a pull-up by the higher members. Most members never proceed beyond this point and never learn the real secret purpose of the group. The frozen member from that point on serves only as a part of the political power base, as indeed he has always done. You may have guessed by now that initiation is a way to determine who can and cannot be trusted. Hey, Bobby. Hi, Peggy. Hi, Cynthia, you're back. A method of deciding exactly who is to become an adept may be decided during an initiation by asking the candidate to spit upon the Christian cross. If the candidate refuses, The members congratulate him and tell him, "You've made the right choice, as a true adept would never do such a terrible thing." The newly initiated might find it disconcerting, however, that he or she never advances any higher. If instead the candidate does spit upon the cross, he or she has demonstrated a knowledge of one of the mysteries and soon will find him or herself a candidate for the next higher level. The mystery is that religion is but a tool to control the masses. Knowledge or wisdom is their only God, through which man himself will become God. The snake and the dragon are both symbols of wisdom. Lucifer is the personification of the symbol. It was Lucifer who tempted Eve to entice Adam to eat of the tree of knowledge and thus free man from the bonds of ignorance. The worship, a lot different from study. Okay. The worship of knowledge, which is a lot different than the study of knowledge, science, or technology, is Satanism in its purest form, and its god is Lucifer. Its secret symbol is the all-seeing eye in the pyramid. Under the undesirable effects of secret societies and their aura of mystery has sometimes given them the reputation for being abnormal associations or, at the very least, strange groups of people. Whenever their beliefs are those of the majority, they are no longer considered antisocial. A good example is the Christian Church, which was at one time the secret society under the Roman Empire. In fact, the open, friendly secret society, which was the Vatican, actually ruled most, if not all, of the known world at one time. Most secret societies are generally considered to be antisocial. They are believed to contain elements that are not liked or are outright harmful to the community in general. This is exactly the case in some instances. Communism and fascism are secret societies in many countries where they are prohibited by law. In this country, the Nazi Party and the Ku Klux Klan are secret societies due mostly to the fact that the general public is disgusted by them. Their activities are sometimes illegal, thus the secrecy of their membership. The early Christians were a secret society because Roman authorities considered them from the start to be dangerous to imperial rule. The same was true of the followers of Islam. At least some of these true believers, working in secret, accomplished what would turn out to be for the eventual good of society. The Drusid and Yazidis in Syria and Iraq, I'm sorry if I butchered them, of Syria and Iraq, consider the Arabs a dangerous secret society dedicated to the takeover of the world. The Arabs today think the same of the Jews. The Catholics and Freemasons used to have precisely the same ideas about each other. In many primitive or backward societies, initiation into the highest degrees of the group involved subjugation to trials which are not infrequently resulted in death or insanity from the candidate. That sounds like fun. It can be seen that social right and wrong is not the yardstick in estimating the value of a secret society. In Borneo, initiates of hunting societies consider it meritorious and compulsory to hunt heads. In Polynesia, infanticide and debauch were considered essential for initiation into their societies, where the tribal code needed members who indulged in these things as pillars of the society. Since the beginning of recorded history, governmental bodies of every nation have been involved with maintaining the status quo to defend the establishment against minority groups that sought to function as states within states, or to oust the constituted authority and take over in its place. Many of these attempts have succeeded, but have not always lasted. Hello again, Rose. Oh, me. We haven't really gotten too far. We're basically looking into secret societies, is this chapter. So far, we're kind of talking about the difference between primitive societies, tribal societies, and hello, Miss K. Grift, and the more sophisticated secret societies of today. So you're going to see a lot of comparison between different societies and how they have affected the world. So I am going to just, here we go. A method of deciding exactly who is to become an adept may be decided during initiation by asking the candidate to spit upon the Christian cross. If the candidate refuses, the members congratulate him and tell him, "You have made the right choice, as a true adept would never do such a terrible thing." The newly initiated might find it disconcerting, however, that she never advances any higher. If instead, the candidate spits upon the cross, he or she has demonstrated a knowledge of one of the mysteries and will soon find him or herself a candidate for the next higher level. The mystery is that religion is but a tool to control the masses. Knowledge or wisdom is their only God, through which man himself will become God. The snake and the dragon are both symbols of wisdom. Lucifer is a personification of the symbol. It was Lucifer who tempted Eve to entice Adam to eat of the tree of knowledge. Sorry, I have a cat situation. Oh, coffee. No. Sorry. It was Lucifer who tempted Eve to entice Adam to eat of the tree of knowledge and thus free man from the bonds of ignorance. The worship, a lot different than study. The worship of knowledge, science, or technology is Satanism in its purest form, and its god is Lucifer. Its secret symbol is the all-seeing eye in the pyramid. The undesirable effects of secret societies and their aura of mystery has sometimes given them the reputation for being abnormal associations, or at the very least, strange groups of people. Whenever their beliefs are those of the majority, they are no longer considered antisocial. A good example is the Christian Church, which was at one time a secret society under the Roman Empire. In fact, the open, friendly secret society, the Vatican, actually ruled most, if not all, of the known world at one time. Most secret societies are generally considered to be antisocial. They are believed to contain elements that are not liked or are outright harmful to the community in general. This is exactly the case in some instances. Communism and fascism are secret societies in many countries where they are prohibited by law. In this country, the Nazi Party and the Ku Klux Klan are secret societies, due mostly to the fact that the general public is disgusted by them. Their activities are sometimes illegal, thus the secrecy of their membership. The early Christians were a secret society because Roman authorities considered them from the start to be dangerous to imperial rule. The same was true of the followers of Islam. At least some of these true believers, working in secret, accomplished what would turn out to be for the eventual good of the society. The Drusid and the Yazidis in Syria and Iraq consider the Arabs a dangerous secret society dedicated to the takeover of the world. The Arabs today think the same of the Jews. Catholics and Freemasons used to have precisely the same ideas about each other. In many primitive or backwoods societies, initiation into the highest degrees of the group involved subjection to trials, which not infrequently resulted in death or insanity of the candidate. It can be seen that social right and wrong is not the yardstick in estimating the value of a secret society. In Borneo, initiates of hunting societies consider it meritorious and compulsory to hunt heads. In Polynesia, infanticide and debauch, I'm sure he means debauchery, were considered essential for initiation into their societies, which were where the tribal code needed members who indulged in these things as pillars of the society. That reminds me a lot of, for example, Jeffrey Epstein, and they considered it essential, right, to find these people, these famous people who enjoy doing these horrible, awful things, so that they could then record them and use it to push forward their own society agenda, secret society agenda. And Epstein is just the first thing at the top of the head. But it's the same across the most primitive to the most civilized societies. Those in charge are actually being manipulated by others who tend to work in secret in order to push forward their own agenda to the complete disregard of you and I. Since the beginning of recorded history, the governmental bodies of every nation have been involved with maintaining the status quo to defend the establishment against minority groups that sought to function as states within states, or to oust the constituted authority and take over in its place. Many of these attempts have succeeded, but have not always lasted. Man's desire to be one of the elect is something that no power on earth has been able to lessen, let alone destroy. It is one of the secrets of secret societies. It's what gives them a political base and lots of clout. Members often vote the same and give each other preference in daily business, legal, and social activities. It is the deepest desire of many to be able to say, I belong to the elect. Does that remind you of any Dems or Republicans or liberals or conservatives in anyone's world, maybe? Houses of worship and sacrifice existed in the ancient cities. They were, in fact, temples built in honor of the many gods. These buildings functioned often as meeting places for philosophers and mystics who were believed to possess the secrets of nature. These men usually banded together in seclusive philosophic and religious schools. The most important of all of these ancient groups is the Brotherhood of the Snake, or Dragon, and was simply known as the Mysteries. The snake and dragon are symbols that represent wisdom. The father of wisdom is Lucifer, also called the light bearer. The focus of worship for the Mysteries was Osiris, another name of Lucifer. Osiris was the name of a bright star that the ancients believed had been cast down onto the earth. The literal meaning of Lucifer is bringer of light, or the morning star. After Osiris was gone from the sky, the ancients saw the sun as the representation of Osiris, or more correctly, Lucifer. Now we've got 3 quotes here from Albert Pike. Osiris was represented by the sun. From the book of Isaiah, chapter 14, verse 12. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer? And Fred Giddings, the symbolism in occult art, says, it is claimed that after Lucifer fell from heaven, he brought with him the power of thinking as a gift for mankind. Thank goodness they like those new toys, I tell you. I don't know if you can even see her when she's running. Oh, yeah, there's her head. Okay. She just loves these things. Okay. Vigano is a member of Opus Dei. Vigano Alta right. Francis ultra left. They're in a war to have their plan of one world religion. All right. I'm not sure that I know Vigano specifically. I've heard of Opus Dei. I have my own theory, in my opinion, allegedly from what I've seen. There are between 13 and 15 factions worldwide who have been working towards the one world order for centuries. There are, like I said, between 13 and 15, there are Asian factions and African factions and Catholic factions and royal factions, and they all work for different paymasters who end up, I'm sorry, I keep thinking puppets, so that's what I mean when I'm doing this. Even Trump, especially Trump and the rest, they all have different paymasters. I found it really interesting that Biden, I'm so going to get shut down on YouTube. I am on Rumble as well, just in case. But there's factions, and everyone's having their strings pulled by someone. I found it very interesting that all of a sudden Biden says he's not going for re-election, and instead Harris is going to be the new one, and they have a super secret, super fast vote, and all of a sudden the DNC says, yeah, we're all in favor of Kamala. She's she's the one, she's our girl, and all that. Yeah, rip the channel, I know. But and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Obama and that group turn and suddenly stand in favor of her and endorse her. And they are on two separate teams. So something pretty awesome had to have happened in the background where her team has got more power over the Dems than the faction that was running, say, the Obamas and Clintons and Bushes and, yes. Yes, animal worship. See, I've got a theory too that animal worship, not about animal worship, but that when we all finally get to heaven, our pets will be there, and we'll all be able to be together like it was supposed to be in the beginning. Yes, the cat is what's happening in the background. That's to keep you guys entertained in case I start to sound too boring. There's a second one in the cat carrier. She's just not coming out right now. But Sweets is the one that's running all over hell. Yes, I'm totally. Actually, with my government, they probably won't pound on the door. They'll probably swing in through the windows and use all sorts of excess force and damage that is completely unnecessary. But yeah, if I just disappear one day, it's my government. They took me. So let's continue. Most of the great minds that ever lived were initiated into the Society of Mysteries by secret and dangerous rites, some of which were very cruel. Some of the most famous were known as Osiris, Isis, Sabazius, Cybele, and Ulysses. Ulysses, yes. Plato was one of these initiates, and he describes some of the mysteries in his writings. Plato's initiation encompassed 3 days of entombment in the Great Pyramid, during which time he died symbolically, was reborn, and was given secrets that he was to preserve. Plato's writings are full of information on the mysteries. Manly P. Hall stated in his book, The Secret Teachings of All Ages, that the illumined of antiquity entered its portals as men, and they came forth as gods. So the portals were the Pyramid of Giza. So they entered the Pyramid of Giza as men, and they came forth as gods. The ancient Egyptian word for pyramid was kuti, which meant glorious light. I'm sure I mispronounced that, but it's a kuti. In my head, it's now going to be a kuti, which meant glorious light. Mr. Hall says also the pyramids, the great Egyptian temples of initiation. According to many, the Great Pyramids were built to commemorate and observe a supernova explosion that occurred in the year 4000 BC. Dr. Anthony Hewish, 1974 Nobel Prize winner in physics, discovered a rhythmic series of radio pulses, which he proved were emissions from a star that exploded around 4000 BC. We were just talking about that last night on Mighty and I's show. The Earth has a heartbeat, and how everything vibrates and has at a certain, you can affect it with different frequencies. It was really cool. We were listening to the heartbeat of the Earth. Very cool. Go check out Mighty Meat on Rumble. He and I do a thing every Tuesday night on the mysteries, which is the religion he's saying is the background of all of these secret societies. So it's very, very, very interesting. So Anthony Hewish, the Nobel Prize winner, discovered a rhythmic series of radio pulses, which he proved were emissions from a star that had exploded around 4000 BC. The Freemasons begin their calendar from AL, or in the year of light, found by adding 4000 to the modern year. That's interesting. The book was written in 1990, so he's saying, thus in 1990 plus 4000 equals 5990 AL, or in the year of light. George Mikanowski wrote in The Once and Future Star that the ancient Sumerian cuneiform, described as a giant star exploding within a triangle formed by Zeta Puppis, Gamma Velorum, and Lambda Velorum, located in the southern sky. An accurate star catalog now stated that the blazing star that had exploded within the triangle would again have been seen by man in 6,000 years. According to the Freemasons' calendar, it will occur in the year 2000. And indeed it will. I don't remember. The year 2000, I was partying really, really, really hard, guys. Was there some sort of major celestial event in the skies? Like, I know we're having all these solar flares are causing, the northern lights to show up all over the place. Does anyone remember in 2000, was there crazy celestial stuff going on? Let me know. So according to the Freemasons' calendar, it will occur in the year 2000. And indeed it will, says the author. The spacecraft called Galileo is on its way to Jupiter, a baby star with a gaseous makeup exactly the same as our sun, with a load of 49.7 pounds of plutonium, supposedly being used as batteries to power the craft. When its final orbit decays in December of 1999, Galileo will deliver its payload into the center of Jupiter. What the heck? The unbelievable pressure that will be encountered will cause a reaction exactly as occurs when an atomic bomb is exploded by an implosion detonator. The plutonium will explode in an atomic reaction, lighting the hydrogen and helium atmosphere of Jupiter and resulting in the birth of a star that has already been named Lucifer. The world will interpret it as a sign of tremendous religious significance. It will fulfill prophecy. In reality, it is only a demonstration of the insane application of technology by the Jason Society, which may or may not even work. They have practiced overkill to ensure success, however, as the documents that I read while in naval intelligence stated that Project Galileo required only 5 pounds of plutonium to ignite Jupiter and possibly stave off the coming ice age. Global warming is a hoax, no shit. There we go again. Oh, Mighty, you're here. Thank goodness. What the heck is going on? They sent plutonium to deep space, but I can't get any here on Earth. I know. I know. Oh, but I had no idea they did this. So back in December of 1999, thanks to the Jason Society, I've heard that name before for sure. Rose is saying there was a neutron star too. I had no idea this stuff was happening. No wonder they thought the world was going to end in 2000. Holy Hannah. They were doing it on purpose. Wow. And of course, we do have to remember this is William Cooper. He was in naval intelligence for many years. He has all sorts of crazy top secret clearances. And then after he got out, he spent the rest of his life studying such things. Your government killed him. Do I have to say allegedly? It's pretty obvious. It's on video. I'm not going to say allegedly. Part of someone within your government killed the man because of what he knew. So you got to take it with a grain of salt, but he needs less salt than most, let's say. Rose says it was a RX something, bunch of numbers, but I can't remember them. Yeah, I wouldn't be able to remember them either. Bobby's saying it's pretty obvious. Holy Hannah. We thought they were doing crazy shit now, eh, Mighty? He says they sent 3 satellites into deep space with plutonium cores for radioisotopic generation of heat and energy in 1980s-ish. Okay. So what we're learning is that Russia's maybe not Uklear Rocket ray into space is not the first by far. Why aren't we dead already? Oh, Mighty's not allowed on YouTube. He's on Rumble. He's in the Rumble chat only, so I'll see him, but you guys can't, unfortunately. Because YouTube is asshole, and I can say it because it's my channel, and I'm also dual streaming to Rumble. So if I disappear, you guys know where I am. Holy Hannah, blowing my brain. Oh, they actually admitted the Ukne. Interesting. I wondered. 2 Voyager probes allegedly left our solar system, but I don't know. Well, crap. I'm learning all sorts of stuff. But hey, Canada made the Canada arm, so we're part of space discovery. Sorry, that's a joke between Mighty and I, because that's like Canada's biggest claim to space fame, and we're so proud of it. And it's really like nothing, apparently. They don't even use it. So anyways, getting back to it. Yes, global warming is a hoax. It's easier for the public to deal with and will give the ruling elite more time before panic and anarchy to replace the government. The reality is that overall, global temperatures are becoming lower. Storms are becoming more violent and less predictable. The ice caps at the poles are growing larger. The temperate zones where food can be grown are shrinking. Desertification is increasing in the tropics. An ice age is on its way, and it will occur suddenly. Now, again, that's from the perspective of 1999. I'm not sure if we really... I guess we are still... I believe we're headed towards an ice age, but he's talking like it could happen tomorrow, and I really don't think it's going to be that soon. However, he was talking from 1999. I just got canceled 3 times in 10 minutes. Amazing. I know, right? And Mighty is clarifying he's harmful disinformation that is a danger to the community. So he's not allowed to be on the YouTubes. So go and if you haven't, please go sub to Mighty Meat on Rumble, because he and I do a fun show on Tuesdays. Cynthia's saying 7 celestial bodies lined up in a row. 5 of them were planets. And Peggy's saying hurricane season is mild in Louisiana this year. I don't know about the 7 celestial bodies lining up. Mighty's the space person. My cat was trying to write a chat earlier, it looks like. Mighty says pole shift is likely and it will fuck up our system bad and kill a lot of people. And again, we were talking about that last night about the vibrations of things and how with the slow change of the magnetic pole that affects everything. It's even the tiniest little cell in our bodies. I have, in my opinion, allegedly, just from what I've read, and I'm talking out my ass, I have a feeling that 5G networks and some of the things that may or may not have been put into people repeatedly over time for the last 5 or so years will work together along with those vibrations to affect us. Those of you who took it. But I think it's all working together. I think the idea of the magnetic pull of the human body and the vibrations, I think the powers that be are making use of that knowledge, that information for their own purposes. Mighty says, around U.S. election time, we will have some crazy celestial events. Weird how things line up. Interesting. Okay. And Bobby says, wieners? Hot dog. Thank you, Bobby. We can't get too deep down into the craziness of it all. We got to remember too that there are hot dogs and life is good, right? Desertification is increasing in the tropics. An ice age is on its way and it will occur suddenly. Beg to differ. Simultaneously, a vault containing the ancient records of the earth will be opened in Egypt. The return of Lucifer and the opening of the vault will usher in the millennium. A great celebration has already been planned by the Millennium Society to take place at the pyramids in Egypt. According to the January 3rd, 1989 edition of the Arizona Daily Star, President-elect Bush is spending this New Year's holiday at Camp David, Maryland, but in 10 years, he may be in Egypt. Organizers of the Millennium Society say he's already committed to ushering in the next century at the Great Pyramid of Cheops in Giza. Cheops? Cheops. Hey, gangsta, how you doing? Good to see you again. Oh, and Mighty says, relay the message for me. I would love Bobby's wiener. And we all know that. So, over here. So that's interesting too. Bush Sr. Spent 1989 New Year's at Camp David, but at that time he had already been booked 10 years into the future so that he could ring in New Year's 2000 in the Great Pyramid in Giza. So that's kind of, I thought you were OG. Good to see you, Jensta. The first secret that one must know to even begin to understand the mysteries is that their members believe that there are but a few truly mature minds in the world. They believe that those minds belong exclusively to them. The philosophy that follows is the classic secret society view of humanity. When a person of strong intellect is confronted with a problem which calls for the use of reasoning faculties, they keep their poise and attempt to reach a solution by garnering facts bearing upon the question. On the other hand, those who are immature, when confronted by the same problem, are overwhelmed. While the former may be said to be qualified to solve the mystery of their own destiny, the latter must be led like a bunch of animals and taught in the simplest language. Like sheep, they are totally dependent upon the shepherd. The able intellect is taught the mysteries and the esoteric spiritual truths. The masses are taught the literal exoteric interpretations. While the masses worship the five senses, the select few observe, recognizing in the gulf between them the symbolic concretions of great abstract truths. The initiated elect communicate directly to gods or aliens, he has in brackets, who communicate back to them. The masses sacrifice their lambs on an altar facing a stone idol that can neither hear nor speak. The elect are given knowledge of the mysteries and are illumined and are thus known as the Illuminati or the Illumined Ones, the guardians of the secrets of the ages. 3 early secret societies that can be directly connected to a modern descendant are the cults of Roshaniah, Mithras, and their counterpart, the Builders. They have many things in common with the Freemasons of today, as well as with many other branches of the Illuminati. For instance, common to the Brotherhood are the symbolic rebirth into new life without going through the portal of death during initiation, reference to the lion and the grip of the lion's paw in a Master Mason's degree, the 3 degrees, which is the same as the ancient Masonic rites before many other degrees were added, the ladder of 7 rungs, men only, and the all-seeing eye. Of special interest is the powerful society in Afghanistan in ancient times called the Roshaniah, the Illuminated Ones. We actually covered this in our Mystery Babylon series. Old Man Bush was the one to announce the New World Order. Okay, I think he might, yeah. Again, at that time, I was really partying hard. Really hard. I was not paying attention to worldly things. I was not paying attention to what was happening in the sky or in politics or anything else. I cannot remember that at all, except to know that for 4 days, I had the most fun in my entire life. And it was also the highest time of my entire life. 4 days straight for New Year's 2000. It was brilliant. However, we have talked about the Roshaniah in Mighty and I's Mystery Babylon series. They're just one of the many ancient secret societies that have merged and melded and changed names over the years, but they all, no matter what name you use, they all end up being the same. And like he was just saying, they all have so many things in similar. The symbolic rebirth into a new life without going through death, complete opposites of Christianity. The reference to a lion or the grip of the lion's paw, the fact that there's 3 degrees in most of these secret societies. There's the 3 degrees that you have to attain before you can actually start studying the mysteries. So most Freemasons that you know or have in your family, more likely than not, they're levels 1 to 3, because that's where most people, that's as far as most people ever get. But these uber smart people that he's talking about, the ones who can actually think, once they've reached the 3rd degree, they can begin studying the mysteries, and they can go on and like he kind of said smugly, it was the same in Masonic ancient rites before the many other degrees that were added. The Masons the Masons decided to add a whole raft of degrees after the 3rd degree, and that's where the mysteries come into play. A lot of the others didn't necessarily look at more degrees over the 3rd. They just thought after the 3rd you were available to learn any of the mysteries that you wanted. But the Masons really made a point of keeping everyone either above or below someone else. Very much like a caste system, honestly. And the 33rd degree is only reached by those Masons who make a difference worldwide on behalf of the Masons. They're able to do something or say something or make a movement happen or something to further the Masons' agenda. And those people would end up getting 33rd degree. There's a few people, you can go and look for them. I'm not going to name names because Lord only knows who those people really are. But yeah, The Masons really made it into a caste system, and Bill Cooper is especially upset with that. He doesn't like that. Hi, Jody. Good to see you. I hope you're doing better. Oh, it's nice to see you. Anyways, we'll get back to it. So, of special interest is the powerful society in Afghanistan in ancient times called the Roshanaya, or the Illuminated Ones. There are actually references to this mystical cult going back through history to the House of Wisdom at Cairo. The major tenets of this cult were the abolition of private property, the elimination of religion, the elimination of nation states, the belief that illumination emanated from the supreme being who desired a class of perfect men and women to carry out the organization and direction of the world, belief in a plan to reshape the social system of the world by first taking control of individual countries one by one, and the belief that after reaching the fourth degree, one could communicate directly with the unknown supervisors who had imparted knowledge to initiates throughout the ages. Wise men will again recognize the Brotherhood. Can you hear the echo of the Nazi Party or the Communist Party, the extreme right and the extreme left? The important fact to remember is that the leaders of both the right and the left are a small, hard core of men. Yes, I did, Bobby. Small, hard core of men who have been and still are illuminists or members of the Brotherhood. They may have been or may be members of the Christian or Jewish religions, but that is only to further their own ends. And again, that's key with these secret societies. They will claim to be whatever works to best further their society's goals, their aims, their agenda. So a really good example is Biden claiming to be Catholic. Anyone who looks at him and looks at his day-to-day life on his calendar knows he's not a Catholic. I don't know what he is, but he's not a Catholic. He's only saying that because it serves a purpose for him. And that's what these secret societies do. They'll claim to be Christian or Jewish or Muslim or what have you, Democratic or Republican. They'll claim to be whatever they need to claim to be in order to get their agenda pushed forward. And we can see this happening all over the world right now. People pushing agendas that the populace is so obviously against, and yet the agendas keep moving forward, you know. Walter Veith has a great lecture on his channel, Clash of Minds. Oh, okay, I've heard his name. Because to get to a higher level, it costs big bucks. Exactly. And we just covered the initiations, and a lot of time the initiations require you to do things that a normal person really wouldn't do. One of his examples that he used in the book specifically, I know the Freemasons, and he used it in the book, so I'm just paraphrasing what he said here allegedly and all that. I don't need to get the Freemasons on my butt either. But yeah, one of the initiation rites is there. The initiate is asked to spit on the Christian cross. And if you spit on it, you're praised and, oh, good. You know, doing that would be horrible. And you can't, you know, that's wonderful of you not to have done that. But those same people never move further up in Freemasonry. However, if the initiate does spit on the Catholic cross, it shows those involved in the initiation that this person knows some of the mysteries and is intelligent and illumined enough to move forward. The degree system actually started at the Tower of Babel. Very interesting. I guess that would make sense. Oh, Jensta has got to go to work. Much love. It's awesome to talk to you again too, hon. I'm good for the new job. I'm glad it's working out for you too. So, oops, I lost my spot. Here we go. They may have been or may be members of the Christian or Jewish religions, but that is only to further their own ends. They are and always have been Luciferian and internationalist. They give allegiance to no particular nation, although they have used on occasion nationalism to further their causes. Their only concern is to gain greater economic and political power. The ultimate objective of the leaders of both groups is identical. They are determined to win for themselves undisputed control of the wealth, natural resources, and manpower of the entire planet. They intend to turn the world into their conception of a Luciferian, totalitarian, socialist state. That sounds very much like what they're trying to do for the world right now, eh? Jody's saying it's mainly 5 families. Nominal, he's a Freemason. Okay. They no longer call them agendas, they call them projects. Another way they're treating us like we're stupid. Yeah, like the Project 2025 that everyone's all concerned about. The only thing I really have seen from Project 2025, one of the things that they're putting on their platform is they want to bring back cigarette machines into all diners. So I don't know that Project 2025 is probably not the project we want to be looking at and being concerned about. The fact that the media is making such a big deal out of them makes me think they're not the ones to be looked at. That there must be something else is happening somewhere else. They don't want us to look, so they're scaring the sheeple with the Project 2025. No worries. They give allegiance to no particular nation. Oh, I already did that. Well, they give allegiance to no particular nation, although they have used on occasion nationalism to further their causes. Their only concern is to gain greater economic and political power. The ultimate objective of the leaders of both groups is identical. They are determined to win for themselves undisputed control of the wealth, natural resources, and manpower of the entire planet. They intend to turn the world into their conception of a Luciferian totalitarian socialist state. In the process, they will eliminate all Christians, Jews, and atheists. You have just learned one, but only one of the great mysteries. Oh, you've just learned. Ha! I thought he was talking about one of the levels. So we have all just learned one of the great mysteries. And basically is that they work behind the scenes and they will claim to be anyone to further their agenda. And they are very, very powerful, these people who are pulling the strings of the people that we think are in charge. You know, there's something else going on and people need to be aware of it in order to make the right decisions for themselves and their loved ones. I don't think any one of us is able to take down this system. It's too old. The Mystery Babylon is just that. It's the second oldest religion. It is the religion of Lucifer that came up, the anti-God religion. And people have been following it since Cain, at least. That's my guess anyways. And Mighty and I are really studying the Mystery Babylon on Tuesdays on his Rumble channel, Mighty Meet. And it's crazy. There's no way. It's been so embedded into our societies. There's no way we can take it down at this point. But doing these sort of shows and the shows on Tuesdays with Mighty, at least we're able to bring awareness to you guys, and you guys can, information kind of sticks. And I believe that in doing this, there's people out there who need to hear this information. And so they'll be able to find it because I'm putting it out there. I don't know. everything happens for a reason, and God places us in certain positions. And I really feel that people need to understand this. Like he said at the beginning of this chapter, you may not believe in God or the devil and Lucifer and Jesus. You may not believe in any of them, but there is a ginormous mass of this world population that do believe in them. And because they believe in them, and there's such a large amount of them, they're able to affect changes on the world that will affect you, whether you believe in God or not. So you need to understand how these other people think so that you can see it working in your own life and be able to sidestep these things, or at least that's my hope in doing this. They do. They hate Jesus. They hate anyone who takes the place of the state, right? Or the illumined man, depending on which secret service you're talking about, or secret society, not service. But they've got most of them, Luciferians and those that don't believe in any other god. They believe that they will become God themselves. It's like CERN, poking around and doing all sorts of stuff. They have no idea what it's going to do, so that they can finally identify the God particle, and now they're trying to recreate it. Like, these are huge forces at work, and these people are just playing with them. And it's all in order to further this agenda of turning the masses into the cattle that work the tools in order for those elite illumined ones to be able to live off of. They've made a zillion different movies on this subject, and there's a reason for it. It's happening in real life, in real time, whether or not you believe in these things. Enough people do that it's affecting the world that we live in. Oh, I have heard of them, Peggy. I may have a friend to introduce you to. Let me talk to them and I'll get back to you. Okay? And it's all a diversion. They're trying to keep us so busy looking at one thing that we walk right down that walk right into the pen. They're making so many changes. Like I said, Obama all of a sudden switching over and backing Kamala. Like, they're two totally different factions they belong to. And yeah, that was not a good. I'm learning about symbols, and apparently that's a symbol that I shouldn't be doing. But they work for two totally different factions, and the fact that the one was able to get the other to stand behind and back them is pretty mind-blowing to me. I wouldn't have I've ever thought that it would happen in the way it did. The Obama going for Kamala. I could see her faction backing that faction, but they have done that already. They've done it in the past. But it's pretty crazy when Kamala's faction was able to pull that power play. I mean, they were able to get Biden to step down, stand out of the elections before Biden even knew it was happening. So there's a whole lot of strings being pulled and a whole lot of backdoor handshaking going on right now. And we may not be able to change it on the macro side, but we can at least be aware of it and be able to see it and avoid it when possible. Ideally. All right. They intend to turn the world into their conception of a Luciferian totalitarian socialist state. In the process, they will eliminate all Christians, Jews, and atheists. You have just learned one of the great mysteries. The Rosh Hashanah, why can I not say that? Blah. The Rosh Hashanah also called themselves the Order. Initiates took an oath that absolved them of all allegiance except to the Order, and stated, I bind myself to perpetual silence and unshaken loyalty and submission to the Order. All humanity which cannot identify itself by our secret sign is our lawful prey. The oath remains essentially the same to this day. The secret sign was to pass a hand over the forehead, palm inward, the countersign to hold the ear with the fingers and support the elbow in the cupped other hand. Does that sound familiar? The Order is the order of the quest. The cult preached that there was no heaven, no hell, only a spirit state completely different from life as we know it. The spirit would continue to be powerful on earth through a member of the Order, but only if the spirit had been itself a member of the Order before its death. Thus, members of the Order gained power from the spirits of the dead members. The Rosh Hashanah took in travelers as initiates and sent them on their way to found new chapters of the Order. It is believed by some that the assassins were a branch of the Rosh Hashanah. We talked about them too. Branches of the Rosh Hashanah, or the Illuminated Ones, or the Illuminati, existed and still exist everywhere. One of the rules was not to use the same name and never mention the Illuminati. That rule is still in effect today. I believe that it is the breaking of this rule that resulted in Adam Weishaupt's downfall. I'm not sure who Adam Weishaupt is. One of the greatest secrets of all of the ages is the true story of the Holy Grail, the robe of Jesus, the remains of the cross of crucifixion, and whether Jesus actually died or if he survived and produced a child. Many myths surround the Knights Templar concerning these relics, and most myths throughout history always have at least some basis in fact. If my sources are correct, the Knights Templar survive today as a branch of the Illuminati and guard the relics, which are hidden in a location known only to them. We know that the Templars are Illuminati because the Freemasons absorbed and protected those that escaped persecution of the Church and France, just as the Freemasons would absorb and protect Weishaupt's Illuminati centuries later. The Knights Templar exists today as a higher degree of Freemasonry within the Templar Order. In fact, the Knights Templar is a branch of the Order of the Quest. The De Molay Society is a branch of the Freemasons that consecrates the memory of the persecution of the Knights Templar and in particular their leader Jacques de Molay. I know because I was a member of the De Molay Society as a young adult. I loved the mystery and the ritual. I became separated from the society when my family moved to a location out of reach of any lodge. I believe to this day that my association with the De Molay Society may have been the reason for my selection for naval security and intelligence. According to members of the intelligence community, when the New World Order is solidified, the relics will be taken out, will be united with the sphere of destiny, and will, according to legend, give the world's ruler absolute power. This may confirm beliefs passed down through the ages that describe the significance of these relics when united in the hands of one man. It may also explain Hitler's desperate search for their hiding place during World War II. Again, I must remind you that it makes not one lot of difference what you believe. If they believe, you will be affected. The Knights Templar were founded sometime during the 11th century in Jerusalem by Prieur de Sion for the express purpose of guarding the remaining relics of Jesus and to provide military protection for the religious travelers during their pilgrimage to the Holy City. The Prieur de Sion was a religious order founded upon Mount Sion in Jerusalem. Okay, so it's probably Sion and not Sion, and I'm just putting French in there because that's my habit. Sorry. It was a coup. Jesus doesn't force his belief on anyone. He says, follow me. They will force their agenda on everyone. Exactly. Exactly. Hello, Linda. You're a little bit late. That's okay. A lot of this is stuff we knew. Gemstone, good to see you, hon. JFK was revenge killed 666 years after the death of Demole. Yeah, there's a lot of really interesting stuff in regards to JFK and the Masonic rituals and symbology of that assassination. Um, yeah, it's amazingly eye-opening just how much. Again, like we say, even if you don't believe in any of this, many others do, and it created the situation that was the JFK assassination with all the symbology involved within it. It's a very interesting thing to dive into. America's Untold Stories. They do a brilliant JFK series. They connect all the dots all the way along, from World War I and II all the way through, and how JFK's death was related to it all. America's Untold Stories. Brilliant. Those two guys, they know their stuff, and they will amaze you. YouTube keeps removing the website where all the info is posted. Oh, if you're trying to drop a link in the YouTube comments, they don't let you. Unless you're a mod, you're not allowed to post a link. You can post a link in the Rumble chat, though, and I will grab it before I end the stream so it doesn't disappear on me. But yeah, you can only drop links in Rumble. It's a security feature for YouTube, which it is a good thing. It is a good thing, but sometimes it's annoying, like in church chat when we're trying to get people into our church Discord, and you can't just say that in the YouTube chat. You've got to separate it and make it all janky so they don't recognize it as a link. Oh, thank you, Jody. I was hoping you would know. Johann Adam Weishaupt was a German philosopher, professor of civil law and later canon law, and founder of the Illuminati. Of the Bavarian Illuminati, says Gemstone. Awesome. See, you guys are helping fill the blanks where I don't know, and that's another reason why I'm doing this. I'm learning just as much from you guys as I am from the book. All right. Yeah, it looks like they're going to tell us about Adam Weishaupt in just a moment. So, the Prieur de Sion was a religious order founded upon Mount Sion in Jerusalem. The order set for itself the goal of preserving and recording the bloodline of Jesus in the house of David. Through every means available to them, the Prieur de Sion had found and retrieved the remaining relics. These relics were entrusted to the Knights Templar for safekeeping. I am amazed at the authors of Holy Blood, Holy Grail, and the information that they have unearthed. Most of all, I am amazed at their inability to put the puzzle together. He does not brook fools lightly, does this Bill Cooper. He, if you're thick, he's not going to put up with it. He's just going to move on and forget you. Oh, you weren't putting the link, only the name. Well, that there is just strictly a YouTube thing, especially now that we're getting this close to the election. YouTube does all sorts of funny and weird stuff. It's really crazy. People are getting struck for things that wouldn't have gotten struck, except the fact that it's election season right now. So consider this a. I'm not going to be back on here. If you want to speak freely and without circumspect, the Rumble chat is the place to go. If you don't mind picking your words carefully, this chat is perfectly fine. But yeah, you've got to pick your words. And sometimes I really enjoy using the vocabulary that I've got to dance around these things, like fans of the playground. That's my term instead of well, I think the kids are saying PDF files at the moment. But Fans of the Playground was always good, and it never got caught because it sounds innocuous, you know? So if you like playing those sort of word games, you can hang out. But yeah, YouTube is not going to let anything slide if they see it. And I'm so never going to be on this one again, am I? Thank goodness there's only a few of us and I'm a small, tiny channel. Hopefully they're not paying too much attention to me. So let's get back to this snide little comment here. I am amazed at the authors of Holy Blood, Holy Grail, and the information that they have unearthed. Most of all, I am amazed at their inability to put the puzzle together. The treasure hidden in France is not the treasure of the Temple of Jerusalem. It is the Holy Grail itself, the robe of Jesus, the last remaining pieces of the cross of crucifixion, and, according to my sources, someone's bones. I can tell you that the reality of the bones will shake the world to its very foundations if I have been told the truth. The relics are hidden in France. I know the location, and so do the authors of Holy Blood, Holy Grail, but they do not know that they know, or do they? Adam Weishaupt, a young professor of canon law in Ingolstadt University in Germany, was a Jesuit priest and an initiate of the Illuminati. The branch of the order he founded in Germany in 1776 was the same Illuminati previously discussed. The Jesuit connection is important, as you will see later in this chapter. Researchers agree that he was financed by the House of Rothschild, the same Rothschild family mentioned in Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars, the same family that gave Trump his seed money right at the beginning of his career, the same family that whose head was caught in a picture, poking his finger in the chest of the now King of England. That family. So lovely. He was financed by that family. He advocated abolition of all ordered national governments, abolition of inheritance, abolition of private property, abolition of patriotism, abolition of the individual home and family life as the cell from which all civilizations have stemmed, and abolition of all religions established and existing, so that the Luciferian ideology of totalitarianism may be imposed on mankind. See, you could call them by many names, but they're all working towards this same goal. And we can see our leaders today are also working towards this exact same goal. You know, we see it happening. Perfect. I see it. No, see, Peggy, exactly. Oh, I got to mute that. And yes, it showed up. It's there. So anyone who wants to check that out, I won't read it because Lord knows that's going to cause some more troubles too. But you can put it together. And that's exactly how you do it over here, Peggy. It can be fun. It can be a game, right? So he advocated the abolition of absolutely everything, getting rid of everything so that the Luciferian ideology of totalitarianism may be imposed on mankind. In the same year he founded the Illuminati, he published Wealth of Nations, the book that provided the ideological foundation for capitalism and for the Industrial Revolution. Interesting. It is no accident that the Declaration of Independence was written in the same year. On the obverse of the Great Seal of the United States, the wise will recognize the all-seeing eye and other signs of the Brotherhood of the Snake. Every tenet was the same. Date and beliefs confirm that Weishaupt's Illuminati is the same as the Afghan Illuminated Ones and the other cults which called themselves Illuminated. The Illuminados of Spain were the same as were the Illuminated Guerinettes of France. In the United States, they were known as the Jacobin clubs, the Jacobin clubs. Secrets within secrets, but always at the heart is the brotherhood. I believe that Weishaupt was betrayed and set up for persecution because he ignored the rule that the word Illuminati or the existence of the brotherhood would never be exposed to public knowledge. His exposure and outlawing accomplished several goals of the still hidden and still very powerful brotherhood. It allowed members to debunk claims of its existence on the grounds that the Illuminati had been exposed and outlawed and thus was no longer a reality. It allowed members to deny allegations of conspiracy of any kind. The Brotherhood of the Snake is adept at throwing out decoys to keep the dogs at bay. Weishaupt may have been a fool, or he may have been doing exactly what he was told. And that is key. Are they fools, or are they doing exactly what they are told? And it just, to us, it looks like they're fools because who but a dumbass would do these things, right? But in reality, they're doing exactly what they're supposed to do to further the right agenda. Thousands of Oh, I'm going to love this one. And that's how, exactly, Jody. That's how they bury the truth in plain sight. Globalism at work. And for centuries, they have been working towards the end that we're at now. Like people, I was having a discussion about certain prophecies are coming true, and someone said, well, yeah, but is the prophecy really coming true if a human is forcing it? But why is the human forcing it unless it's part of God's plan that it happen, right? So it's kind of a chicken and egg argument unless you definitely believe in God. Otherwise, yeah, who knows which comes first. Trump's office downloaded all the documents. Ooh. Oh, interesting. And that's the thing too. Now with AI is so good we cannot even believe our lying eyes and ears, right? Like at least we used to be able to trust what we saw and what we heard, but AI has faked it so well now. You can't take a picture at face value. You can't listen to a speech from someone famous and just take it at face value. You cannot be sure it's them speaking. I mean, Sleepy Joe is a prime example. One of the conspiracy theories that I've learned recently that I absolutely adore is that tall Joe Biden is really Jim Carrey in makeup. And it's makeup. I was a makeup artist. That's what I did for a living. Makeup can totally do that. Totally do that. Turn Jim Carrey into Biden. That's easy peasy. So we can't believe anything we see or hear anymore either. And that makes it really, really tough. Yeah, if anyone is granted a global platform, they are connected to the system. It's the Hegelian farce. Exactly. And that's why I'm saying, Trump may be the best option, but that doesn't make him innocent. That doesn't make him the good guy. Like I said, that specific family gave him his seed money. He wouldn't have been able to be Trump if not for that seed money at the beginning of his career. And that was from a certain family that has more power than most royal families, controls most of the world banks. And that's just one of the factions, allegedly, in my opinion. Like there's no way anyone who is anywhere high up in politics hasn't been tainted in some way or other. That's what Epstein was for, right? Let's get blackmail on as many famous people and important people as we can so that we can force things to happen the way we want them to. It's all a part of the same plan, going for the same end result. I didn't know that about his wife. Interesting. I thought she was just a model. But then again, I should know better. I should really know better, right? By now, no one's anyone. Another one of my conspiracy theories that I heard recently that makes me laugh. Well, I guess this one doesn't make me laugh. Jim Carrey makes me laugh. I really like the idea of Jim Carrey being Biden in all these speeches and stuff. I enjoy that. It makes me giggle. But there's another one. Oh shoot. Yes. Well, there's a bunch of them. Yeah, no, I'm look at me. I'm rethinking myself. I want to attempt to go on here. Everyone who is anyone, they don't get there by accident. And a certain royal son's wife may or may not have been planted there in his way by certain someone's even more famous uncle, royal uncle. Let's put it at that. And at this point, the way the world is going, I would not be surprised if she was literally a plant to dirty his face once and for all to make sure that he cannot have a chance at sitting on that chair, that very important chair. Oh, you be well, Cynthia. I'll talk to you later. Since the Tower of Babel, Satan hated the separation of humanity and the challenge in communication. He's been trying to bring global unity ever since. Trump put bumps in their plan. He did. And I think that's part of it. I don't think Trump realizes just how far. I think he thinks that he can bring about the new world order and this totalitarian world. But he thinks he can do it with America at the top and American values as the values of the totalitarian governments. And that will never happen. But even if it did happen, anyone who can use them for good can also use those same powers for bad. It's even if he is the benign and benevolent leader, someone else can come and use those in a much worse way. That's why the Bible is the only truth. Well, and that's one of the things that led me to the Bible is the fact that we've found copies of the Bible all throughout history, and yet the translations all come down to saying the same thing. I mean, I know there's certain arguments about, a specific comma placed in a certain spot and things like that, but the stories haven't changed. The meanings haven't changed, no matter what year it was written in, what language it was written in. And that's what makes me believe in it, because no human made book could go that far through history without being changed. Look at the game telephone that we used to play as kids. Even with just 6 people in a circle, that message is going to change before it gets to the end. And the fact that the Bible hasn't changed is amazing and astounding, and can only, in my opinion, point in one direction, that being that God is real and the Bible is sacred word. But that's my opinion. You're free to think whatever you want to think. Either side has the same agenda. Exactly. The Dead Sea Scrolls seem to back the Bible. Exactly. They seem to back. Also, with the Dead Sea Scrolls, recently there was one of the scrolls they couldn't read because I guess wine had been spilt on it or something. So they'd never been able to open it. But with new technology, they were able to open it and read it. And it was actually my favorite book of the Bible. It was the Book of Esther. So all these years after they've been found, they managed to be able to read, to digitally open up this scroll and find the Book of Esther. So that's one of the oldest, I believe Esther's one of the oldest books of the Bible. And again, it's still saying the same thing all these thousands of years later. So the very first visit all newly elected presidents make is to the Vatican to get the Pope's blessing. Exactly. Turdo did the same, I believe. I don't know if he actually kissed the wall, but I know he had visit with the Vatican. But your American presidents, they all kissed the wall, and Trump definitely kissed that wall. He's not innocent. He might be the best option, but he's the best out of a bunch of bad options. He's working for the same group. He too wants that totalitarian world order. He just thinks he's going to be the one in, or his group is going to be the one in control. And that's the thing. When they finally get to the point where they get that control over the whole world, that's when the factions will have to fight. And that's when they will have to go after each other to decide who will be the ultimate leader, right? So things are only going to get worse. You know, they're not going to get better. I don't see how they can. We were talking about this last night, but yeah, hold on tight, folks. He might only minimize, exactly. Trump might only minimize the suffering. Exactly. Francis is the Antichrist who will introduce the false Christ. I don't know enough. I'm sure he is one of them, but I'm pretty sure there's more than one Antichrist, and I don't know if Francis specifically is going to be the one to introduce the false Christ. I don't know enough to know. I do know that Francis is the first and only the first Jesuit Pope. Yeah, the only Jesuit Pope, unless the original one was. See, and here's my memory playing silly games. But yeah, he is a Jesuit Pope. He's the only one, and that in and of itself was catalyst for multiple prophecies to begin. There's a lecture called Battle of the Bibles by Walter Veith as well. Clears up any confusion. Okay, I will check that out. See, and that's the good thing about YouTube, that Rumble has bad. See, I've been singing one's praises and dissing the other. Rumble is great because Rumble keeps the chats on these live streams. These chats will still be here anytime you want to go back and watch the live stream, unless I have to edit the video for some reason, and then that takes the chats out. But with Rumble, with Rumble, as soon as the live stream ends, the chat disappears. I don't have access to it. Anyone watching later does not have access to it. So I love that with YouTube, any of us can come back later and go through the chats and remind ourselves of what we wanted to look up. There's good and bad on both ends. Peggy says it has to come from within, just like Judas. Isaiah's word for word. Okay. I am just literally just finished reading Jeremiah. But in that time of reading Jeremiah, I've started a lot of new Bible studies. I know Jody, I see you there at the Advent Defense League. If anyone's interested, I love them. They do study on the Bible and the Bible alone. On Thursdays, it's Challenge and SDA, which is basically people online have put out videos stating certain things about the Seventh-day Adventist religion. And on the Thursdays, they go through the Bible and the video and explain why the video is either correct or incorrect. And they use the Bible, this isn't the Bible. They use the Bible. They use the Bible and they use the concordances. But they go through the Bible to find out what the Bible says on all of these things. And I have learned so much from them. They also do a Saturday where you ask an SDA. So it's different. We ask questions and they clarify. And it's not specifically, about SDA. It's Bible questions that we would like answered. I know the members only. One of the elders is going to have learn how to read Hebrew, ancient Hebrew, that I'm very much looking forward to, because being able to read and understand Hebrew will make my study of the Bible so much richer. I'll be able to understand so much more. It's the Advent Defense League. That's another channel that I'm going to shout out. They are brilliant, and Thursdays you can come and listen and just have a good, wholesome Bible study. Antichrist simply means in place of Christ. Benedict was from a family of Jewish black magic. He was also Antichrist. Okay, see, and that's where I was sticking on myself. I can't remember if he was. I don't know if he was actually Jesuit or if he was. But it looks like he was actually a Jesuit. Bible says there have been antichrists since the New Testament was written, according to Paul. Well, and that's just it. There are multiple antichrists. I remember as a teenager, within my sphere of existence, everyone was certain that Tom Cruise was going to be the Antichrist. Like it's there's a lot of crazy stuff out there, and I wouldn't be surprised if more than a few Hollywood types have been Antichrists. Oh, it's a good thing I like my coffee sweet. Tastes just as good cold. So basically, he figures that Weishaupt was betrayed and set up so that he could be the patsy, so that from there on out, they could use him as the example to say, see, no, it was Illuminatis were put to rest. It was killed out and it doesn't exist anymore. Look at him. See, we stopped it. So he was the patsy. The Brotherhood of the Snake is adept at throwing out decoys to keep the dogs at bay. Weishaupt may have been a fool, or he may have been doing exactly as he was told. Weishaupt said, "The great strength of our order lies in its concealment. Let it never appear in its own name, but always covered by another name and another occupation." Allegations that the Freemason organizations were infiltrated by the Illuminati during Weishaupt's reign are hogwash. The Freemasons have always contained the core of Illuminati within their ranks, and that is why they so freely and so willingly took in and hid the members of Weishaupt's group. You cannot really believe that the Freemasons, if they were only a simple fraternal organization, would have risked everything, including their very lives, by taking in and hiding outlaws who had been condemned by the monarchies of Europe. It is mainly Freemason authors who have perpetuated the myth that Adam Weishaupt was the founder of the Illuminati and that the Illuminati was destroyed, never to surface again. In 1826, an American Freemason wrote a book revealing Masonic secrets entitled Illustrations of Freemasonry. One of the secrets that he revealed is that the last mystery at the top of the Masonic pyramid is the worship of Lucifer. We have since learned the secret of the story of the murder of Hiram Abiff. Hiram Abiff represents intelligence, liberty, and truth, and was struck down by a blow to the neck with a rule, representing the suppression of the speech by the church. Then he was struck in the heart with a square, representing the suppression of belief by the state. And finally, he was struck on the head by a maul, representing the suppression of intellect by the masses. Freemasonry thus equates the church, the state, and the masses with tyranny, intolerance, and ignorance. What Morgan revealed was that the Freemasons were pledged to avenge Hiram Abiff, and that their plan was to strike down the church, the state, and the freedom of the masses. Morgan caused a small uproar against the Masons. The small uproar turned into a full-blown anti-Freemason movement when the author, William Morgan, disappeared. Morgan had apparently been abducted and drowned in Lake Ontario. It was alleged that fellow Masons had done it, a claim that they deny to this day. Who else would have done it? I believe they murdered him. This is the author, not me. This is the author. I know nothing. He says, I believe they murdered him. The newspapers at the time state without reservation that he was murdered by Masons. The oath of initiation into Freemasons states that if secrets are told, the initiate will be murdered. A nationwide furor ensued that resulted in the creation of an anti-Masonic political party in 1829 by Henry Dana Ward, Thurlow Reed, William H. Seward. Those are the familiar names. Interest in several anti-Masonic books was revived during that period, with the result that Freemasonry suffered a severe loss of membership. It lasted only a few years, and by 1840, the anti-Masonic party was extinct. Time really does cure all ills. We know that the British Freemasons are a totally self-serving group that discriminates in favor of its own wherever jobs, promotions, contracts, or careers are concerned. The English Freemason organization was used by the KGB to infiltrate and take over British intelligence. British intelligence is synonymous with Chatham House, more commonly known as the Royal Institute for International Affairs, the parent organization of the Council on Foreign Relations in the United States. The English State Police, Scotland Yard, ordered its personnel not to join the Masons for fear the same would happen to them. Of course, you've been told all your life that the Freemasons are only a benevolent fraternal organization bent only on community service. Read on, O innocent one. Probably the most notorious Freemason lodge is the P2 Lodge in Italy. This group has been implicated in everything from bribery to assassinations. P2 is directly connected to the Vatican, the Knights of Malta, and to the U.S. Central Intelligence Agency. It is powerful and dangerous. The P2 Lodge has succeeded in infiltrating the Vatican and has scored a coup of tremendous significance. The Pope, John Paul II, has lifted the ban against Freemasonry. Many high-level members of the Vatican are now Freemasons. That's interesting. I tell you now that Freemasonry is one of the most wicked and terrible organizations upon this earth. The Masons are major players in the struggles for world domination. The 33rd degree is split into two. One split contains the core of the Luciferian Illuminati, and the other contains those who have no knowledge of it whatsoever. All of the intelligence officers that I worked for while in naval intelligence were Masons. As I stated before, I believe that my association with the Demolay Society as a young adult may have been the reason that I was selected for naval security and intelligence. However, that is only a guess. I had intended to go into great detail linking P2, the Prior de Sion, the Vatican, the CIA, Organizations for a United Europe, and the Bilderberg Group. Fortunately, Michael Baigent, Rygaard Leigh, and Henry Lincoln beat me to it. I say fortunately because they confirm my previous allegation that I published in my paper, The Secret Government, that the CIA had plants called moles deep within the Vatican. I do not wish to be called a plagiarist, so you must read Holy Blood, Holy Grail, and the Messianic Legacy, both by Baigent, Leigh, and Lincoln. Any reputable bookstore should carry them. Between pages 343 and 361 of the Messianic Legacy, you can read of the alliance of power that resulted in the secret world government. Most members of the Freemasons are not aware that the Illuminati practices what is known as secrets within secrets, or organizations within organizations. That is one purpose of initiation. I cannot excuse any of the members, however, for anyone who joins a society without knowing everything about the organization is indeed a fool. Only those at the top who have passed every test truly know what the Masons are hiding, thus rendering it impossible for anyone outside to know much at all about the group. What does that say about new members or those who are already members but do not know the ultimate secrets? It tells me that fools abound. Unlike authors who, out of fear, have acted as apologists for the Freemasons, I decline to absolve them of responsibility and guilt. The Freemasons, like everyone else, are responsible for the cleanliness of their home. The occupants of the secret house within a secret house within a secret house cannot clean if he cannot see the number of rooms or what they contain. Their house is a stinking cesspool. Look to the Masons for the guilty party if anything happens to me. I believe that they had murdered in the past and that they will murder in the future. I firmly believe that all adult secret societies that practice degrees of initiation and consider the members to be illumined are branches of the original, ages-old Illuminati. Their goal is to rule the world. The doctrine of this group is not democracy or communism, but is a form of fascism. The doctrine is totalitarian socialism. You must begin to think correctly. The Illuminati are not communists, but some communists are Illuminati. Monarchism, or thesis, faced democracy, or the antithesis, in World War I, which resulted in the formation of communism and the League of Nations, which was the synthesis. Democracy and communism, which the thesis, faced fascism, the antithesis, in World War II, and resulted in a more powerful United Nations, synthesis. And 3, capitalism, the thesis, now faces communism, the antithesis, and the result will be the New World Order, totalitarian socialism, the synthesis. The 1953 report of the California Senate Investigating Committee on Education stated, so-called modern communism is apparently the same hypocritical world conspiracy to destroy civilization that was founded by the Illuminati and that raised its head in our colonies here at the critical period before the adoption of our Constitution. The California Senate understood that communism is the work of the Illuminati. They failed to realize that the Council on Foreign Relations and the Trilateral Commission are also the work of the Illuminati. You must begin to think correctly. The enemy is not communism. It is Illuminism. The communists are not going to be much happier with the New World Order than we are. I hope to show that most modern secret societies, especially those that practice degrees of initiation, and that's the key, are really one society with one purpose. You may call them whatever you wish: the Order of the Quest, the Jason Society, the Roshaniah, the Kabbalah, the Knights Templar, the Knights of Malta, the Knights of Columbus, the Jesuits, the Masons, the Ancient and Mystical Order of the Rosicrucians, the Illuminati, the Nazi Party, the Communist Party, the executive members of the Council on Foreign Relations, the Group, the Brotherhood of the Dragon, the Rosicrucians, the Royal Institute of International Affairs, the Trilateral Commission, the Bilderberg Group, the Open Friendly Secret Society, the Vatican, the Russell Trust, the Skull and Bones, the Scroll and Key, the Order. They are all the same, and all work towards the same ultimate goal, a new world order. Many of them, however, disagree on exactly who will rule this new world order, and that is what causes them to sometimes pull in opposite directions, while nevertheless proceeding towards the same goal. That's what I was saying about Obama and Kamala. It was really surprising to me that the Obama faction decided to stand behind and prop up Kamala, because they're different factions, and I would not have seen it happening that way around. That was very, very surprising. But they're still, even if they have, infighting and squabbles amongst them, they're all still working towards the same end goal. They just are not in agreement as to who's going to get to be top of the totem pole. Yes, Demole is a feeder organization. He says that many times. He was only in it for a short while, and then his family moved, and he couldn't continue on with it. But he said many times that it's a feeder organization into the Masons, and that he thinks that is the only reason that they decided to give him his naval intelligence and clearances, because he had the highest clearance possible. He worked for the Pacific section. I've got the wrong word. It was back in his introduction. But yeah, if you didn't get a chance to catch the introduction read, it's amazing. It really does tell you who this author is, how he got to where he is, and why he's writing the book that we're now reading. Behold a pale horse. I didn't know they had horses in Canada, eh? Oh, we got lots of horses, eh? We got lots of wild Mustangs running across BC and Alberta. Lots of horses. Evil supports evil. Exactly, Linda. They may not agree on who's going to be the head of this one world order, but they all agree that that's the direction they have to push towards. So that's once they get to the one world order, that's when we all get to watch them fight it out to find out who's got the ultimate control. They're all pale because they don't get enough sun in Canada. Well, see, there's that. All right. Many of them, however, disagree on exactly who will rule this new world order, and that is what causes them to sometimes pull in opposite directions, while nevertheless proceeding towards the same goal. The Vatican, for instance, wants the Pope to head the World Coalition. Some want Lord Maitreya to head the New World Order. Lord Maitreya is the front runner, I believe, since witnesses say he was present on the ship at Malta with Bush, Gorbachev, and the 10 regional heads of the New World Order. Approximately 200 dignitaries from around the world attended a major conference initiated by Maitreya in London on April 21st and 22nd, 1990. Representatives of governments, including the USA, members of royal families, religious leaders, and journalists, all of whom had met with Maitreya previously, attended the conferences. That was a quote from a Prophecy Watch column on Whole Wheat number 8, Minneapolis. Okay. Someone has also spent an awful lot of money announcing his presence. The Pope will have to approve him if Maitreya is selected, however, and that would fulfill the Bible prophecy in the book of Revelation that states that the first beast will be given his power by Rome. If you can interpret Revelation as I can, then you know that the Pope will ultimately win out and will reign as the second beast. In 1952, an alliance was formed, bringing them all together for the first time in history. The Black families, the Illuminati, the Vatican, and the Freemasons now work together to bring about the New World Order. All will protest their innocence and will do anything within their power to destroy anyone who suggests otherwise. I will undoubtedly become a target when this book is published. You may notice that some of those listed in the preceding paragraphs do not, or so it appears, practice degrees of initiation. That is the public view. Look at the Council on Foreign Relations. Many members, in fact the majority, never serve on the executive committees. They never go through any initiation of any kind. They are, in fact, the power base and are used to gain a consensus of opinion. The majority are not really members, but are made to feel as they are. In reality, they are being used and are unwilling or unable to understand. The executive committee is an inner core of intimate associates, members of a secret society called the Order of the Quest, also known as the Jason Society, devoted to a common purpose. The members are an outer circle on whom the inner core acts by personal persuasion, patronage, and social pressure. That is how they bought Henry Kissinger. Rockefeller gave Kissinger a grant of $50,000 in the early 50s, a fortune in those days, and made dear old Henry a member of the CFR. Anyone in the outer circle who does not toe the mark is summarily expelled, and the lesson is not lost on those who remain. Do you remember the human desire to be a member of the elect? That is the principle at work. The real power are men who are always recruited without exception from the secret societies of Harvard and Yale, known as the Skull and Bones and the Scroll and Key. Both societies are secret branches, also called the Brotherhood of Death, of what is otherwise historically known as the Illuminati. They are connected to parent organizations in England, the group of Oxford University, and especially All Souls College, and Germany, the Thule Society, also called the Brotherhood of Death. I learned this when I was with Naval Intelligence. I was not able to explain why some members of the executive committee were not listed under the addresses of Chapter 322 of the Skull and Bones Society until I read The Wise Men by Walter Isaacson and Evan Thomas, Simon & Schuster, New York. Under illustration number 9, in the center of the book, you will find the caption, "Love it with the Yale unit," above far right and on the beach. His initiation into Skull and Bones came at an air base near Dunkirk. I have found that members of those two societies were chosen on an ongoing basis by invitation based upon merit post-college and were not confined to only Harvard or Yale attendees. Only members of the order are initiated into the Order of the Quest, the Jason Society that makes up the executive members of the Council on Foreign Relations, and in fact, the Trilateral Commission as well. The executive members of the Council on Foreign Relations are the real elect in this country. George Bush is a member of the order. Surprised? You shouldn't be. His father was also a member who helped finance Hitler. It is important that you know that the members of the order take an oath that absolves them from any allegiance to any nation or king or government or constitution, and that includes the negating of any subsequent oath of allegiance, which they may be required to take. They swear allegiance only to the order and its goal of the New World Order. George Bush is not a loyal citizen of the United States, but instead is loyal only to the destruction of the United States and to the formation of the New World Order. According to the oath Bush took when he was initiated into Skull and Bones, his oath of office as President of the United States of America means nothing. And that's key. They swear an oath not only to the order, the Illuminati, whatever name you want to give it to them, but part of that oath absolves them of any need to keep the oath of anything else that they may. So just because he's sworn an oath to be president of the United States does not mean he is actually working for the people of the United States. It's it doesn't work like that in real life. All big government agencies are run by the same organization. Maitreya is a false Christ. Surprised the book was published unless it was. Yes, Jody. This is Behold the Pale Horse by William Cooper. It was self-published. There's a few editions out there. The one I'm reading from is a first edition copy published in 1991. Subsequent editions have been altered. Sections have been taken out. And even the audiobook that I was planning on playing before I realized it wasn't reading the book, the audiobook is missing like 4 hours worth of reading from the full book. So they've been trying to quash parts of this book for as long as it's been around. And they did manage to take out the author. I was talking about that earlier, but I don't think it's any surprise or secret or at all. But the government took out William Cooper. They tried. They ended up, one time they thought they killed him. They ended up just causing him to lose a leg. But yeah, this information is not meant to be out there for the public at large. And this was in 1991. Look at where we're at now in 2024. He's not wrong. You know, he might not be correct on all things, but the overall gist of the thing, at least when it comes to these secret societies, I have not found any fault with him yet. Many are secret theosophists. Well, and that's exactly it. They can claim to be whatever they want in order to get ahead in wherever they need to be, but none of them are actually working for those. They are working towards getting this new world order. Jainism is also a thing, as is the religion of Mitra. Yes. Oh, hello, amazing disgrace. His loyalty and honor belong to another sect. Exactly. Thank you. I was having trouble with that. And Jody was mentioning Jainism. Yes, I remember studying about Jainism. Very interesting. Gemstone is saying he called out 9/11 live on radio 6 months before it happened. On 9/11, he said on radio in the first hour that Bush is connected to bin Laden. He died 2 months later. I'll add to that, on his own front porch, right in his front door. He was shot dead by sheriff's deputies, but not sheriffs from the county he was in. They were from a different county. And yeah, that's a whole nother thing. Mighty and I actually talked about, and we covered his 9/11 calling out beforehand. This man is fascinating, and he has a lot of fascinating knowledge. And if even just 1% of it is true, we need to know it. Amazing is saying, are they allowed to disavow their allegiance to the ones they serve? Well, that's the key. They're allowed to disavow their allegiance to, yes, no problem. They cannot, in fact, one guy ended up being set up as a patsy in order for them to make it look like the Illuminati was a thing, but it's been outlawed and it's been gotten rid of. But that way they can all disavow being a part of this group, because this group doesn't exist, because they outlawed it and they exterminated it. So it only works if they are able to disavow their allegiance to this one, to the one they serve. It only works that way. If they had to proclaim their allegiance to these secret societies, they wouldn't be able to do what they do. There are a lot of folks deceived into everlasting darkness in these sects. Exactly. And a lot of good people who think they're doing it for the greater good, who just haven't learned enough of the mysteries to realize. Early 90s was when stuff started leaking. Yes. And yeah, Bill Cooper was one of the first ones to start talking about this stuff. Amazing says they can lie about their oath to us, but can they disparage their order? Well, in public, of course, yes. Because in public, it doesn't exist. And you're just silly for even thinking that it would exist. You know, Illuminati, the Knights Templars, they've been gone and dead forever and ever. So in public, yes, they can definitely disparage their order. In private, I bet probably not. But then in private, they're with their own people, so everyone's of an accord anyways, right? They give a lot of whistleblowers a heart attack or a plane crash or a car crash or a sudden suicide in their car, just as they're meant to go in for their final day of talking. Yeah, it's crazy how many people. Well, it's a lot like the theoretical Clinton kill list. allegedly out my ass, but there's an awful lot of people out there who managed to shoot themselves in the back of the head and a couple of times in the back, and then tie their hands behind themselves and hang themselves from a tree. That sort of thing has happened many times, and yes, it's amazing that the people who tend to do that are also the people who are trying to out these secret societies. That's very often they end up that way. That's why we were all a little concerned when Hillary Clinton started following Mighty on X. He did. I think it was the second episode on the Clinton kill list, and all of a sudden Hillary Clinton's following him on X. How's that for a fear? Okay. I'm just going to go back and do that last. The executive members of the Council on Foreign Relations are the real elect. in this country. George Bush is a member of the order. Surprised? You shouldn't be. His father was also, oh yeah, no, that's way too far back. It is important that you know that the members of the order take an oath that absolves them from any allegiance to any nation or king or government or constitution and that includes the negating of any subsequent oath of allegiance which they may be required to take. They swear allegiance only to the order and its goal of the New World Order. George Bush is not a loyal citizen of the United States, but instead is loyal only to the destruction of the United States and to the formation of the New World Order. According to the oath Bush took when he was initiated into Skull and Bones, his oath of office as President of the United States of America means nothing. The Trilateral Commission is an elite group of some 300 very prominent business, political, and intellectual decision makers of Western Europe, North America, and Japan. This enterprise is a private agency that works to build up political and economic cooperation among the three regions. Its grand design, which it no longer hides, is a new world order. The Trilateral Commission was the idea of its founder, American banking magnate David Rockefeller. The real reason for its formation was the decline of the Council of Foreign Relations power as a result of the people's dissatisfaction with the Vietnam War. The reasoning behind the move towards the Trilateral Commission was the same as entering two horses in the same race. It doubles the chances of winning. The real power has always remained solidly in the hands of the Council of Foreign Relations. The Rockefeller family was, is, and always will be the benefactor of both organizations. Rockefeller, though powerful, is not in control in this country or anywhere else. The key to the real power is the fact that Rockefeller had to put out feelers at the Bilderberg Group meeting in 1972 about forming a private group of trilateral leaders. The Bilderberg Group gave the nod, and Rockefeller's man, Zbigniew Brzezinski, I think, gathered up a membership and organized the Trilateral Commission in 1972, not in 1973 as the Commission claims. The Bilderberg Group is very, very dangerous organization. A key to the danger presented by the Trilateral Commission is its seminal piece, written for them by Harvard professor Samuel P. Huntington in the mid-70s. In the paper, Professor Huntington recommended that democracy and economic development be discarded as outdated ideas. He wrote as co-author of the book Crises in Democracy, "We have come to recognize that there are potential desirable limits to economic growth. There are also potentially desirable limits to the indefinite extension of political democracy. A government which lacks authority will have little ability short of cataclysmic crisis to impose on its people the sacrifices which may be necessary." Something short of cataclysmic crisis. I don't know. Have we seen any of those recently? The crises and sacrifices he talks about will be discussed in a later chapter. Remember that George Bush was a member of the Trilateral Commission and only reside as an expediency to get elected. He believes wholeheartedly in the commission and its ideas and ideals. We have elected a president who believes that democracy and economic development must be discarded. I tell you now that he is working towards that end. Bush is still a member of the Order and the CFR. The Jason Society, or Jason Scholars, takes its name from the story of Jason and the Golden Fleece, and it is a branch of the Order of the Quest, one of the highest degrees in the Illuminati. The Golden Fleece takes on the role of truth to Jason members. Jason represents the search for the truth. Therefore, the name Jason Society denotes a group of men who are engaged in a search for the truth. The name Jason is spelled with capital letters when used as the name of the Jason Society. Lowercase letters are never used when referring to the secret group. Author's note. The name may even have a deeper meaning, as the name Jason and the Golden Fleece appear throughout history in relation to various other secret societies. In these instances, the story represents man, Jason, looking for himself, the Golden Fleece. Top secret documents that I read while with naval intelligence stated that President Eisenhower had commissioned the Jason Society to examine all of the evidence, facts, lies, and deception, and to find the truth of the alien question. Founders of the Jason Group, not the same as the Jason Society, include members of the famous Manhattan Project, which brought together almost every leading physicist in the nation to build the atomic bomb during World War II. The group is made up mostly of theoretical physicists and is the most elite gathering of scientific minds in the United States. As of 1987, the membership included 4 Nobel Prize winners. Today, Jason continues to offer scientific help the government cannot find anywhere else. They are probably the only group of scientists in the United States that know the true state of highest technology. Jason is shrouded in what appears to be unnecessary secrecy. The group refuses to release its membership list. None of the members list Jason membership on their official resumes. Working completely behind the scenes, Jason has guided the nation's most important security decisions. These include, but are not limited to, Star Wars, submarine warfare, and predictions about the greenhouse effect. The Jason members are each paid a $500 per day consultant's fee. In the documents that I read while with naval intelligence, the Jasons predicted that the greenhouse effect would lead ultimately to an ice age. According to the Pentagon, the Jasons hold the highest and most restrictive security clearances in the nation. They are given the protocol rank of Rear Admiral, or 2 stars, when they visit or travel aboard ships or visit military bases. The only other reference to the Jason group that I have been able to find is in the Pentagon Papers. The papers stated that Jason was responsible for designing the electronic barrier between North and South Vietnam for the purpose of sealing off infiltration of the South by North Vietnamese regulars during the Vietnam War. I was stationed on the DMZ, and I can tell you that it did not work. The veil of secrecy drawn around the Jason group has been so tight and so leak-proof since its conception that those who think the government cannot keep a secret need to re-examine that position. The government was able to contain the Jason secret except for one leak, but the Jason group itself, a civilian group, did even better. No leaks have ever occurred from within Jason. Jason is administered by the MITRE Corporation. Government contracts allotted to the MITRE Corporation are in reality allotted to the Jason scientists. This is done so that the name Jason does not ever appear in documents which may come under public scrutiny. What is the difference between the Jason scholars and the Jason Society and the Jason Group? The documents that I read refer to the Jason Society in exactly those words. In public documents, the only Jason reference is to the Jason Group, administered by the MITRE Corporation. I believe the Jason Society is one of the highest degrees above the Skull and Bones and the Scroll and Key in the Illuminati. In other words, it is a higher level of initiation. The Jason Group is a scientific organization formed and hired by the Jason Society and the U.S. government for obvious reasons. I know a lot more about the Jason Society and the Jason Group, but I do not want to injure Mr. Grant Cameron, who has done extensive research on these subjects. He will publish his research in the coming months. I guarantee his findings will amaze you. The Council on Foreign Relations has been the foremost flank of Americans' foreign policy establishment for more than half a century. The Council on Foreign Relations is a private organization of business executives, scholars, and political leaders that study global problems and plays a key role in developing U.S. foreign policy. The CFR is one of the most powerful semi-official groups concerned with America's role in international affairs. It is controlled by an elect group of men recruited from the Skull and Bones and the Scroll and Key societies of Harvard and Yale, which are both chapters of a secret branch of the Illuminati known as Chapter 322 of the Order. The members of the Order make up the Executive Committee of the Council on Foreign Relations after undergoing initiation into the Order of the Quest, also known as the Jason Society. The Council on Foreign Relations is an offshoot sister organization to the British Royal Institute of International Affairs. Their goal is a new world order. Although it existed as a dinner club in New York, it did not take on its present power until 1921, when it merged with the Royal Institute of International Affairs and received its financial base from J.P. Morgan, the Carnegie Endowment, the Rockefeller family, and other Wall Street banking interests. The Council on Foreign Relations controls our government. Through the years, its members have infiltrated the entire executive branch, State Department, Justice Department, CIA, and the top ranks of the military. Every director of the Central Intelligence Agency has been a member of the CFR. Most presidents since Roosevelt have been members. The members of the CFR dominate ownership of the press, and most, if not all, of America's top journalists are members. The CFR does not conform to government policy. The government conforms to CFR policy. The appendix contains the most current list of CFR members that I was able to locate. I read top secret documents while with naval intelligence that stated that President Eisenhower had appointed 6 of the executive committee members of the CFR to sit on the panel called Majesty 12, also known as Majority 12, for security reasons. Majesty 12 is the secret group that is supposed to control extraterrestrial information and projects. The document stated that Eisenhower had also appointed 6 members from the executive branch of government who were also members of the CFR. The total membership of Majesty 12 was 19, including Dr. Edward Teller and the 6 members from the Jason Scientific Group. Again, whether this is true or disinformation depends solely upon the existence of aliens. And that's a whole other thing we're going to get into in this book. The CFR is a secret society in that it forbids the taking of notes or the publishing of minutes at its meetings. Any member who divulges the subject or any part of any conversation or talk that took place during a meeting is terminated. The goal of the Council of Foreign Relations is a new world order. George Bush is a member of the CFR. You got to remember, 1991, Senior is just getting into office. Like he is the main man for America. The Knights of Malta play a powerful role in this scenario. In the 1930s, General Smedley Butler was recruited to help take over the White House. He was told that he was needed because of his general popularity with the military. General Butler blew the whistle and named several prominent Americans as part of the plot. At the top of the list was John J. Raskob, who was a founding member of the U.S. branch of the Knights of Malta. He was board chairman of General Motors. He was, at the time, the U.S. Treasurer of the Knights of Malta. Congressional hearings were held to investigate the plot, but none of those named, including Raskob, was ever called to testify, and nothing ever came from the hearings. Although you will find this in the congressional records, you will never find it in any history book anywhere. It is significant that the Iran-Contra episode has many similarities to the 1930s plot. William Casey was a member of the Knights of Malta. William Casey, with the help of Vice President Bush, Anne Armstrong, and Donald Reagan, Donald, not Ronald, caused the president's Foreign Intelligence Advisory Board to be emasculated so that Bush, Casey, North, and others could carry out their dirty deeds without oversight. They had also developed a plan to suspend the Constitution of the United States and were preparing to implement the plan when they were caught. These facts emerged from the hearings, but were suppressed by the committee chairman, Senator Daniel Inouye of Hawaii. Inouye? You must understand that tremendous power was involved in both attempts to overthrow the United States government. William Casey was the director of the CIA. He was a member of the CFR. Casey was a Knight of Malta. He was the head of Ronald Reagan's political campaign. He was the head of the Securities and Exchange Commission. During the Nixon administration, he was head of the Export-Import Bank. Casey arranged financing for the Kama River truck factory in the Soviet Union with 90% of funds guaranteed or furnished by the U.S. taxpayer. This factory built military truck and tank engines for the Soviet Army. It was and may still be the largest factory in the world and could produce more heavy trucks than all U.S. factories together. I believe Casey was murdered. The Knights of Malta is a world organization with its threads weaving through the business, banking, politics, the CIA, other intelligence organizations, P2, religion, education, law, military, think tanks, foundations, the United States Information Agency, the United Nations, and numerous other organizations. They are not the oldest, but are one of the oldest branches of the Order of the Quest in existence. The world head of the Knights of Malta is elected for a life term with the approval of the Pope. The Knights of Malta have their own constitution and are sworn to work towards the establishment of a new world order with the Pope at its head. The Knights of Malta members are also powerful members of the CFR and the Trilateral Commission. The Vatican has been infiltrated over many years by the Illuminati. This is easily proven by the fact that in 1738, Pope Clement XII issued a papal bull which stated that any Catholic who became a Mason would be excommunicated, a very serious punishment. In 1884, Pope Leo XIII issued a proclamation stating that Masonry was one of the secret societies attempting to revive the manners and customs of the pagans and establish Satan's kingdom on earth. Pierce Compton, in his book The Broken Cross, traces the infiltration of the Catholic Church by the Illuminati. He has found the use of the all-seeing eye in the triangle by leading Catholics and by the Jesuits. It was used in the seal of the Philadelphia Eucharistic Congress in 1976. It was on special issue of Vatican stamps in 1978, announcing the final Illuminati victory to the world. Mr. Compton claims that Pope John the 23rd wore an all-seeing eye in the triangle on his personal cross. Compton is adamant that several hundred leading Catholic priests, bishops, and cardinals are members of secret societies. He quotes an article in an Italian journal that lists more than 70 Vatican officials, including Pope Paul VI's private secretary, the Director General of Vatican Radio, the Archbishop of Florence, the Prelate of Milan, the assistant editor of the Vatican newspaper, several Italian bishops, and the abbot of the Order of St. Benedict. Those are only the ones that are known, and only the ones known in Italy. It is widely believed that this Pope, John Paul XXII, is a member of the Illuminati. I believe, according to my research, that this is true. The best indication of infiltration is that on November 27, 1983, the Pope retracted all of the papal bulls against Freemasonry and allowed Catholics, after several hundred years, to again become members of secret societies without fear of excommunication. The goal of the Illuminati to elect one of their own to the papacy appears to have come to fruition. If that is the case, the New World Order is just on the horizon. Now is the time. The first U.S. ambassador to the Vatican was William Wilson, a Knight of Malta. His appointment was probably illegal and, for a fact, was highly unethical. Wilson could not possibly have represented the U.S. when his allegiance was sworn to the Pope. Wilson, if you remember, took an unauthorized trip to Libya and met privately with Libyan officials at a time when travel to Libya had been banned by the president. President Ronald Reagan had called Gaddafi a mad dog and made a few strong threats. The U.S. had been resolute in bombing Libya, even though civilians were killed. Following Wilson's trip, Gaddafi issued a press release stating that an American diplomat had been sent to reduce tensions with Libya. The State Department denied that any such thing had taken place. Ambassador Wilson closed his mouth and refused any comment. To this day, he has said nothing, even though his actions made a liar of the United States and embarrassed us worldwide. A clue to what was happening is the fact that while we had cut off Libya and even bombed them, and while travel by U.S. citizens to Libya was forbidden, 5 huge oil conglomerates were filling their pockets dealing with Gaddafi. One of the companies was headed by J. Peter Grace, president of W.R. Grace. 8 members of W.R. Grace Company are members of the Knights of Malta. According to an article by Leslie Geld in the New York Times, administration officials had expressed concern about Mr. Wilson's activities. These actions, they said, often seemed to revolve around his contacts and his interest in the oil business. Wilson should have been fired, but instead nothing happened except that he and his wife attended a papal Easter Mass and stood next to George Shultz and his wife. In diplomatic language, this indicated private approval of his actions. George Shultz, of course, is a member of the CFR, the Bohemian Club, and the Baigent Corporation, all of which have close ties to the Order and the Knights of Malta. Wilson engaged in several other improprieties during his ambassadorship. Again, in each case, nothing happened. Finally, he resigned. Later, if you will remember, President Reagan suffered a fall from a horse on William Wilson's ranch in Mexico. Do you seriously think that President Reagan would have visited Wilson's home in Mexico if he had not approved of Wilson's actions while he was U.S. ambassador to the Vatican? I don't know. That's too far back for my knowledge. Ooh, you guys are busy. Good. Interesting. I like that. Jason is sometimes explained as an acronym, standing either for July, August, September, October, November, the months in which the group would typically meet, or tongue-in-cheek for junior achiever, somewhat older now. I like that bit. Yes, prayer and fasting are our weapons. My reminder went off. If any of you, if you haven't heard of Prophecy Odyssey, look it up. They've got a website. It's an amazing event. If you're interested, message me and we can talk. I'll let you know about it. But it would take a whole show to explain. But it's a brilliant event, which they're going to be using AI, an AI translator to take the pastors as they're preaching in their language. It will translate their preaching into multiple different languages, still using that pastor's same voice. There's going to be multiple pastors, a lot of meetings and events. It's going to be amazing. I have made a point of praying for it every single day between the 1st and I believe it's the 30th when it happens. But the organizers asked all those that could to take moments each day and pray for that event. And I'm doing it. And if you guys are at all interested, prophecyodyssey.com, check it out. It's going to be amazing. Jody says, today the Order of Malta is active in 120 countries, caring for people in need through its medical, social, and humanitarian works. All the Jesuit organization hide their wicked agenda under good deeds. Exactly. And no matter what the sect they claim, they are all Luciferians. Exactly. Knight of Malta Myron Taylor was President Roosevelt's envoy. Knight of Malta John McCrone was President Kennedy's envoy, and he was also the director of the CIA during the early 60s. A former mayor of New York City, Robert Wagner, was President Jimmy Carter's envoy. Frank Shakespeare replaced William Wilson. Frank Shakespeare is a Knight of Malta, and so it goes. President Reagan spoke at the annual Knights of Malta dinner. The Knights of Malta all have diplomatic immunity. They can ship goods across borders without paying duty or undergoing customs check. Does that ring any bells? In any case, that is power. The Knights of Malta is held up by a backbone consisting of nobility. Nearly half of the 10,000 members belong to Europe's oldest and most powerful families. This cements the alliance between the Vatican and the black nobility, in quotation marks. The black nobility is mostly the rich and powerful from Europe. The head of the black nobility is the family that can claim direct descendancy from the last Roman emperor. Maybe now you can see that things are beginning to fall into their proper place. Membership in the Knights of Malta entails obedience to one superior in the order and ultimately to the Pope. Therefore, a U.S. ambassador who is also a member of the Knights of Malta faces a conflict of interest. Why is this fact ignored? President Bush appointed Knight of Malta Thomas Melody to the post of U.S. ambassador to the Vatican. The Vatican has founded the Pope John Paul II Center for Prayer and Study for Peace at 1711 Ocean Avenue, Spring Lake, New Jersey, in a mansion overlooking the ocean. The mansion was given to the New York Archdiocese by the estate of Elmer Bobst, who died in 1978. He was a multimillionaire and chairman of Warner Lambert Company. Richard Nixon was a frequent visitor. Directors of the center were Kurt Waldenheim, former Secretary General of the United Nations and ex-Nazi war criminal; Cyrus Vance, former Secretary of State under Carter and member of both the Council on Foreign Relations and the Trilateral Commission; Claire Booth Luce, a dame of the Knights of Malta; and J. Peter Grace of W.R. Grace Company, who is the head of the Knights of Malta in the United States. The center was set up by the Vatican as part of the Pope's new peace plan, which will bring the world together. See my paper, The Secret Government. The center has two roles. One, educate Catholics and their children to accept the New World Order. And two, provide residence for the World Peace Solution computer and an ongoing study for peaceful solutions to any future problems which may endanger world peace. The computer is hooked to the world capitals via satellite. All nations have agreed to relinquish sovereignty to the Pope and submit future problems to the computer for solution. Of course, this will not go into effect until the New World Order is publicly announced. I believe that the New World Order was born in secrecy on January 19th, 1989. Now you know. Acquaint yourself anew with the teachings of Jesus. Compare his teachings with the tenets of the Illuminati, and then compare it with the following. The Vatican has stated at various times that the Pope is for total disarmament. The Pope is for elimination and sovereignty of the nation states. The Pope is also stating that property rights are not to be considered true property rights. The Pope believes that only the Vatican knows what is right for man. In the early 1940s, the IG Farben chemical company employed a Polish salesman who sold cyanide to the Nazis for use in Auschwitz. The same salesman also worked as a chemist in the manufacture of the poison gas. The same cyanide gas, along with Zyklon B and malathion, was used to exterminate millions of Jews and other groups. Their bodies were then burned to ashes in ovens. After the war, the salesman, fearing for his life, joined the Catholic Church and was ordained a priest in 1946. One of his closest friends was Dr. Wolf Smunes, the mastermind behind the November 78 to October 79 and March 80 to October 81 experimental hepatitis B vaccine. Dr. Wolf was the mastermind behind the experimental hepatitis B vaccine trials conducted by the Center for Disease Control in New York, San Francisco, and 4 other American cities that loosed the plague of AIDS upon the American people. The salesman was ordained Poland's youngest bishop in 1958. After a 30-day reign, his predecessor was assassinated, and our ex-cyanide gas salesman assumed the papacy as Pope John Paul II. Holy Hannah! I did not know that. Did you know that? I did not know that. Wow. I've got questions about the whole... Yeah. I've got certain questions about certain stories from the wars. Won't get into that. That's neither here nor there. But it is very, very interesting that the same dude that brought these substances into use in the world and in these places like Auschwitz. I cannot believe that person is Pope John Paul II. Wow. 1990 is the right time with the right leaders. Ex-chief of the Soviet secret police Mikhail Gorbachev, ex-chief of the CIA George Bush, ex-Nazi cyanide gas salesman Pope John Paul II, all bound by an unholy alliance to ring in the new world order. The Pope has challenged world leaders by claiming that the people of the world already recognize the absolute authority of Rome because they observe the Sunday Sabbath that was ordered by the Pope in the Council of Laodicea, AD 364. The original 10 Commandments given by Moses by God ordered that we should remember to keep the Sabbath day, to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work, but the 7th day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and the earth, the sea and all that is in them, and rested the 7th day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. Now that that specific commandment is commandment number 4. The fact that it starts with the word remember is pretty... God knew that it was going to be changed and usurped. And God knew that we would have to be reminded of which day was the real Sabbath day, and which day was hallowed by him. That's why I consider myself a Seventh-day Adventist. From everything I've been able to discover so far, they most closely follow the Bible and the Bible alone. And one of the things that once I had accepted that God existed and I started studying these things, it seemed pretty obvious to me. He's saying, remember the Sabbath day and to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work, but the 7th day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. And it is hallowed, it is special, it is different, it is unique. And it is Saturday, not Sunday. And the Catholics, even in their own writings, admit and agree that they changed the Sabbath from Saturday to Sunday. God never changed it. The only reason it changed from Saturday to Sunday was because the Catholic Church decided it, chose it. And so if we want to be true to God and to follow the 10 Commandments, then we have to follow the 10 Commandments. And he's telling us to remember the Sabbath day because it will be changed by others. So to me, that was kind of a no-brainer. And so far, like I said, Seventh-day Adventists most closely follow the Bible in my understandings. If I ever find another denomination that follows it more closely, I'll consider changing. But for now, the fact that the Advent Defense League, they are the best Bible study I've found in a long time. They use the Bible and the Bible alone, and they find multiple different parts of the Bible to make sure that they are understanding it right. They look at the context. They use the concordance. It's a really in-depth study, and they consider themselves Seventh-day Adventists, and I've found no fault with their studies so far. Not to say I will never, but so far they have done brilliant, and they've, in their studies, proved to me that some of my already made beliefs were correct, and they've also proved that a couple of things that I thought I knew were wrong. Did you know it wasn't the animals going 2 by 2 onto the ark? Did you know that? I didn't. I thought Noah brought them in 2 by 2, but he brought 7 of each kind, of one of the bad kind, and then 2 of each kind of the good animals, for a purpose. I had no idea. So it really does pay to read your Bible and actually read it. Don't just rely on other people's telling you what it says. That's exactly it. Yeah, the original Sabbath was a Saturday. It still is the 7th day. The fall of the wall was a plan. Oh, yeah. Yes. I was still little when that wall came down, but I remember Bryan Adams concert and Pink Floyd. I was little, but yeah, it was definitely another step towards the New World Order. Most churches meet on Sunday and call it the Sabbath. Yeah, a lot of churches do, and a lot of churches may not realize that there is a difference or something. And one of my favorite pastors loves to say there's going to be a lot of Sunday keepers in heaven, and that's true. If you do not understand the biblical truth, God is not going to send you to hell because you didn't understand that Sunday isn't actually the Sabbath day. He judges you for what you know and what you do with what you know. He judges your heart. So, yeah. God never changed the Sabbath. Man did it. It was changed by Constantine and ratified by Justinian, just like the Bible said it would be. Bible did not name names, but he said in Daniel that man would think to change the times and laws. The Sabbath commandment is both. Do they have an online study? And yes, I knew about the animals. Yeah, I had no idea about the animals. The Advent Defense League, they are on YouTube, and we do a live study on Thursdays and Saturday afternoons. The Thursdays, I believe, are 5:30 Eastern Standard Time. And yeah, Linda's saying, I always thought you needed to at least keep one day a week holy. Well, exactly. And a lot of Sunday keepers are going by what they are taught and what they know. And that's, God is not going to keep them out of heaven because they did not understand that truth, that biblical truth. I understood it ages ago because I knew that the real 7th day was Saturday. The 7th day of the week was Saturday, not by any religious standards, but just from my historical research. But those who don't understand that biblical truth are not going to be kicked out for not knowing it, right? It's like I was trying to tell Linda. Linda attends our Tuesday night, Mighty and I's Tuesday night things, and it's like we were talking last night. It was the clean animals brought in by 7. Sorry, I thought I'd mix that up, but wasn't sure. My brain is Swiss cheese, and who knows what's going to catch and stick, or how much of it. But yeah, from my understanding, the 7th day is Saturday, and then by my own reading, seeing that it was the Catholic Church that changed the worship day from Saturday to Sunday. That's what made me understand that I should be worshiping the sundown Friday to sundown Saturday. But if you don't understand that, he's not going to hold it against you. All right, the seventh day, the Sabbath as handed to Moses by God, is Saturday. The celebration of Sunday as the Sabbath is verification that the people recognize the Pope as superior to God. The only whole people who have not recognized the authority of the Pope are the Jewish people, and that is why the Vatican has not and will not recognize the state of Israel. The Vatican refuses to even to call it Israel. Instead, the Vatican says Palestine when talking about Israel. Again, I must remind you that what you believe makes not one bit of difference. The important thing to understand is that if they believe this, it's going to give you nightmares. The Pope has a lot of charisma, and in a one world system, you need a religious head for power. Khomeini proved that. This Pope has enough following and charisma to make what we consider a great threat in this. This Pope has enough following and charisma to make what we consider a great threat in this move. Quoting from the Mantooth report. Pope Jean Paul II is most anxious to complete his goal. His goal is to reunite the Christian world under the leadership of the papacy. If at all possible, he hopes to reach his goal by the end of this century. This is the primary reason behind the Pope's many worldwide trips. From an article from Jean H. Hoberg, November-December 1989, Plain Truth. Were you aware that Hitler and his entire staff were Catholic? No, I wasn't. Did you know that the Nazis dabbled in the occult? I did know that. Did you know that the New York Times of April 14th, 1990, quotes George Bush as stating, "Let's forgive the Nazi war criminals"? I wonder why he said that. Did you know that the Los Angeles Times, December 12th, 1984, quoted Pope John Paul II as saying, "Don't go to God for forgiveness of sins, come to me"? The Pope committed blasphemy, thus fulfilling prophecy according to the book of Revelation. The Pope is telling us that he is God. Oh, excuse me. Remember, never worship a leader. If you worship a leader, then you no longer have the ability to recognize when you have been deceived. On July 21st, 1773, Pope Clement XIV forever annulled and extinguished the Jesuit order. France, Spain, and Portugal had independently come to realize that the Jesuits were meddling in the affairs of the state and were therefore enemies of the government. The Pope's action was a response to pressure applied within the monarchies, or applied by the monarchies. King Joseph of Portugal signed a decree by which the Jesuits were denounced as traitors, rebels, and enemies to the realm. Pope Pius VII, in August 1814, reinstated the Jesuits to all their formal rights and privileges. Ex-President John Adams wrote to his successor, Thomas Jefferson, "I do not like the reappearance of the Jesuits. If ever there was a body of men who merited eternal damnation on earth, it is this society." Jefferson replied, "Like you, I disapprove of the restoration of the Jesuits, for it means a step backwards from light into darkness." The Jesuits are still in trouble today, as they have been throughout their existence. On February 28, 1982, Pope Paul II told the Jesuits to keep clear of politics and honor Roman Catholic tradition. Not God's tradition, Roman Catholic tradition. U.S. News and the World Report stated that the Jesuits had indeed meddled in the affairs of nations. The article stated, "Jesuits have played leading roles in Nicaragua's Sandinista revolution. Some Jesuits have joined communist parties. One priest in El Salvador has claimed that his order is working for the advancement of Marxism and revolution, not for God. Jesuits have joined left-wing rebel movements in Central America and the Philippines and have advocated a melding of Marxism and Roman Catholicism in what is called liberation theology. When the United States wanted to employ the nastiest forms of the Hague-Kissinger depopulation policy in Central America, It was the Jesuits who organized and prodded the people into civil war. Wherever the Jesuits go, revolution quickly follows. I am always sad when I see or hear of people being hurt, but according to my research, the Jesuit priests murdered in Central America probably deserved it. The most powerful secret organization in the world is the Bilderberg Group, organized in 1952 and named after the hotel where its first meeting took place in 1954. The man who organized the Bilderberg Group, Prince Bernhard of the Netherlands, has the power to veto the Vatican's choice of any pope it selects. Prince Bernhard has this veto power because his family, the Habsburgs, it's got a jaw, are descended from the Roman emperors. Prince Bernhard is the leader of the Black families. His claims descend from the House of David and thus can truly say he is related to Jesus. Prince Bernhard, with the help of the CIA, brought the hidden ruling body of the Illuminati into public knowledge at the Bilderberg Group, as the Bilderberg Group. This is the official alliance that makes up the world governing body. The core of the organization is 3 committees made up of 13 members each. Thus, the heart of the Bilderberg Group consists of 39 total members of the Illuminati. The 3 committees are made up exclusively of members of all of the different secret groups that make up the Illuminati, the Freemasons, the Vatican, and the Black nobility. This committee works year-round in offices in Switzerland. It determines who is invited to the annual meeting and what policies and plans will be discussed. Every proposal or plan that has ever been discussed at an annual meeting of the Bilderberg Group has come to pass, usually within 1 to 2 years following the meeting. The Bilderberg Group is directing the quiet war that is being waged against us. How can they do it? These are the men who really rule the world. And I just want to put it out there at this last Bilderberg event, this past spring, Donald Trump was decided to be your next president of the United States. So as far as the Bilderberg Group was concerned, Trump is going to win that election. So we'll see what happens. We'll see who's got the power and control, and maybe there's more power turnovers to come. The numbers 3, 7, 9, 11, 13, 39, and any multiple of these numbers have special meaning to the Illuminati. Notice that the Bilderberg Group has a core of 39 members who are broken into 3 groups of 13 members in each group. Notice that the core of 39 answers to the 13 who make up the policy committee. Take special notice that the 13 members of the policy committee answer to a round table of 9. You know that the original number of states in the United States of America was 13. The Constitution has 7 articles and was signed by 39 members of Constitutional Convention. The United States was born on July 4th, 1776. July is the 7th month of the year. Add 7 for July and 4 and you have 11. 1 plus 7 plus 7 plus 6 equals 21, which is a multiple of 3 and 7. Add 2 plus 1 and you get 3. Look at the numbers in 1776 and you see 2 7s and a 6, which is a multiple of 3. Coincidence, you say? I say baloney, and I'd really like to say something a lot stronger. For those of you who still say it's accidental, however, I offer the following evidence. I could write a book just on numerical links, but I won't. Numerology is a huge subject. Manly P. Hall, 33rd degree Mason, probably the most renowned expert on these subjects, wrote in his book, The Secret Destiny of America, for more than 3,000 years, secret societies have labored to create the background of knowledge necessary to the establishment of an enlightened democracy among the nations of the world. All have continued, and they still exist, as the order of the quest. Men bound by secret oath to labor in the cause of world democracy decided that in the American colonies, they would plant the roots of a new way of life. The Order of the Quest was set up in America before the middle of the 14th century. Franklin spoke for the Order of the Quest, and most of the men who worked with him in the early days of the American Republic were also members. Not only were many of the founders of the United States government Masons, but they received aid from a secret and august body existing in Europe, which helped them establish this country for a particular purpose known only to the initiated few. I found these quotes in a book on page 133. When added together, 1 + 3 + 3 equaled the number 7. Coincidence? I think not. We can get a little insight into the Order of the Quest from Franklin D. Roosevelt's Secretary of Agriculture, Henry Wallace, the man directly responsible for printing of the reverse of the Great Seal of the United States on the $1 bill. Mr. Wallace, a member of the Order of the Quest, wrote in a letter to the Russian mystic and artist Nicholas Roerich, "The search, whether it be for the lost word of Masonry, or the holy chalice, or the potentialities of the age to come, is the one supremely worthwhile objective. All else is karmic duty. But surely everyone is a potential Galahad, so may we strive for the chalice and the flame above it. The Holy Grail has a way of popping up on a regular basis in the writings of the secret societies. In the Great Seal of the United States, we see the ancient symbol of the Brotherhood of the Snake, or Brotherhood of Dragon, which, as you already know, is the all-seeing eye in the pyramid, representing Lucifer in the form of wisdom. Just below the pyramid, you will note Novus Ordo Seclorum, which translated means New World Order. There are 9 tail feathers on the eagle, 13 leaves in the olive branches, 13 bars and stripes, 13 arrows, 13 letters in E pluribus unum, 13 stars in the green crest above, 13 stones in the pyramid, 13 letters in Annuit Coeptis. My Latin, not so good. 13 is the mystical number assigned to Satan, according to Stan Deo in his excellent book entitled Cosmic Conspiracy. All of these mystical numbers also have special meaning to the Freemasons. You would have to be a devout skeptic to miss the tremendous significance of all of these supposed coincidences. Who among you can still say that there is no link? I read while in naval intelligence that at least once a year, maybe more, 2 nuclear submarines meet beneath the polar ice cap and mate together at an airlock. Representatives of the Soviet Union meet with the policy committee of the Bilderberg Group. The Russians are given the script for their next performance. Items on the agenda include the combined efforts in the secret space program governing Alternative 3. I now have in my possession official NASA photographs of a moon base in the crater Copernicus. Mighty, still around? This method of meeting is the only way that is safe from detection and or bugging. The public outcry that would result would destroy everything should these meetings be discovered. A BBC TV documentary program entitled Science Report revealed these same facts, but subsequently issued a retraction. In their retraction, they stated that the show had been fiction. It must be noted here that Science Report was a very respected documentary, non-fiction program in Britain. Never in its history had it ever aired fiction. This subject is explored in depth in another chapter. There is no other method that I know of to verify these meetings short of somehow becoming a crew member on one of the submarines. Is Alternative 3 true, or is it part of the plan to ring in the New World Order? It really doesn't matter, because either way, we're screwed. The quicker you understand that, the wiser you become. The members of the Bilderberg Group are the most powerful financiers, industrialists, statesmen, and intellectuals who get together each year for a private conference on world affairs. The meetings provide an informal, off-the-record opportunity for international leaders to mingle, and are notorious for the cloak of secrecy they are held under. The headquarters office is in The Hague in Switzerland, the only European country never invaded or bombed during World Wars I and II. Switzerland is the seat of world power. The goal of the Bilderberg Group is a one-world totalitarian socialist government and economic system. Take heed, as time is running short. You must understand that secrecy is wrong. The very fact that a meeting is secret tells me that something is going on that I would not approve. Do not ever believe that grown men meet on a regular basis just to put on fancy robes, hold candles, and glad hand each other. George Bush, when he was initiated into the Skull and Bones, did not lie naked in a coffin with a ribbon tied around his genitalia and yell out the details of all his sexual experiences because it was fun. He had much to gain by accepting initiation into the order, as you can now see. These men meet for important reasons, and their meetings are secret because what goes on during the meetings would not be approved by the community. The very fact that something is secret means there is something to hide. John Robinson wrote Proofs of a Conspiracy in 1798, and I believe he said it best in the following passage from the book. Nothing is so dangerous as a mystic association. The object remaining a secret in the hands of the managers, the rest simply put a ring in their own noses by which they may be led about at pleasure. And still panting after the secret, they are the better pleased the less they see of their way. Sheeple. A mystical object enables the leader to shift his ground as he pleases and to accommodate himself to every current fashion or prejudice. This again gives him almost unlimited power, for he can make use of these prejudices to lead men by troops. He finds them already associated by their prejudices and waiting for a leader to concentrate their strength and set them in motion. And when once great bodies of men are set in motion, with a creature of their fancy for a guide, even the engineer himself cannot say, "Thus far shalt thou go and no farther." Is the common man really as stupid as the elite seem to believe? If he is, then maybe the average citizen is better off ignorant, being manipulated this way and that, whenever the elite deem it necessary. We will discover that answer very quickly when the common man finds that his e-ticket to Fantasyland has just expired. I hope I have shown you the role of secret societies and groups within the world power structure. I hope you can see how these groups gain and keep their power. You should have some understanding of how, operating in secrecy and infiltrating every level of government and vital industry, including the press, the elect manipulate the people and nations of the world. I hope you caught on to the fact that the secret power structure is toward a totalitarian socialist state or fascism. It is not the Nazis, as they were a product of this power structure. It is not the Jews, although some very wealthy Jews are involved. It is not the communists, as they fit the same category as the Nazis. It is not the bankers, but they do play an important role. I also hope that you are beginning to look inside yourself to see if their reality fits. Are you getting the message? For a better understanding of secret societies and their roles throughout the ages, I recommend you read the books listed as source material at the end of this chapter. And a final quote says, U.S. President Bush and Soviet President Gorbachev arrived yesterday on this Mediterranean island for a summit conference beginning today, during which both hope to start the search for a new world order. That was the New York Times, December 1st, 1989. And with that, we're done chapter 2. Now, yes, he does have all of his sources here. I will type them up and put them in the comments section when the stream is over. And that way you guys can check out anything you might find interesting there. Order out of chaos. Yes, that's how they do it. Oh, yes. Okay, I've heard her name, Helena. I'm not quite sure what I know about her, but I know I've heard her name. I'll have to go look at it. But either way, that is chapter 2. That is 3 hours and 4 minutes in. It's pretty awesome. I will be going back through the chat after the fact, because I know you guys, there's a lot of stuff in here that I didn't catch. There's a really great conversation happening in the chat. And that's exactly what I wanted. We all know different bits and pieces. And in reading the book together, we can discuss these ideas and theories. And we all have something extra to add to the story to make it more understandable. One last time, just because I mentioned them, so I might as well plug them again. Mighty meets on Rumble. He and I do Tuesday evenings. We do a series called Mystery Babylon, and that is all about that second oldest religion, the one that rules the secret societies. So Tuesday nights at 5:30 Eastern, 5:30 Pacific, 8:30 Eastern on Rumble. Mighty meets. I do this every Wednesday morning. I mentioned America's Untold Stories. They are brilliant. They're a YouTube channel as well. If you want to know anything about JFK and the assassination, you go see America's Untold Stories, because they know it. They can connect every single dot that you know about and a few that you didn't. Who else? Advent Defense. Advent Defense League. I think I mentioned them. I think that's it. I think that's all I mentioned in this chat for other creators. But yeah, I'm having a blast with this, and I'm really glad that you guys are coming in, being able to discuss this together and with me. It's fascinating to me. So thank you very much. Thank you to all of you. And yes, Linda, the prophecy. I got something to talk to you about regarding that. Yeah, I've got an idea for a Bible study, not a live stream or anything like that, but I'll talk to you elsewhere about it. In the meantime, this is me telling you guys all, be well, have a wonderful rest of the week. I'll see you Sabbath in church or wherever else I see you in whoever's chat I happen to be in. All right. I love you guys. Be well. Oh no, it's to click the bubble. Ah, shit.